Alright, John, you guys are live, so don't be picking your nose or anything.
Or scratching or anything.
Everyone's live right now.
Okay.
So you guys want two over here on the median?
Yeah, we need two.
Well, then these people here, I don't know how you're doing it, so. Because we were only asked for 4
I
microphones.
understand. And we don't need these 2 mics over here. We can leave that one there. I think most of the folks are going to use the podium mic to speak from.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so
But,
different volley this year.
yeah, kind of. But then a mic over here. So if you want to switch this one, yeah, that'd be great. However you want to do it. That's good. Be perfect.
Wow. This is check 3. Mic check 3. Check. Check. Mic check 1, 2, 3. Mic check 1. 1. Check 1.
If they use it, I'm not sure yet.
Check 1, 2, 3. Check. Mic check 7. Mic check 7. Check. 7.
Doing good.
Check. Mic 8. Check 8. Mic check 8.
Hello, if you are a candidate for the city council, please come up and get your seat. City council, running candidate. For city council candidate, please come forward. Please find your seat because we're going to start within a minute or so. Can you hear me? We're gonna start at 6 o'clock right now. Trinidad County Chamber of Commerce, we welcome you tonight for our lead candidate for 2017. My name is Linda Behrens and I'm the president of the board, Chamber Board. And please stand to join me with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance. John Schechter. John is our moderator for tonight, and John is also the Chamber of Past President. Mr. John is all yours.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Meet the Candidates 2017. As Linda said, I am John Schechter, and I will be the moderator for the evening. Could I ask you all to take just a moment for silence for our Las Vegas victims, hurricane victims, and disaster victims all over the country? Thank you. This event is presented as a community service to the Greater Trinidad area by your Trinidad Los Angeles County Chamber of Commerce. So let me take this time to thank the Chamber of Commerce and Trinidad State Junior College for this venue, KCRT Radio for broadcasting, and to Tom Murphy for his videotaping and rebroadcasting on our local TV, Trinidad Times TV 71, and we are live on YouTube now. Our media panel is made up of Eric Munson of the Chronicle News, Bill Knowles of the World Journal, and Eli DeBono of KCRT Radio. Thank you, gentlemen. Our timer this evening is Margie Farinelli of Mount Carmel Health and Wellness Center and a member of our Chamber Board of Directors. Our order for this evening is as follows: candidates for the City Council, followed by candidates for the School Board, and finally our mayoral candidates and city and county ballot referendums. Yes, somebody has to go last. By previous arrangement, it was decided that due to the number of candidates on the ballot, the following format will be followed. Candidates will be chosen by a draw from our hat or bowl here. They will have 2 minutes for introductory remarks, followed by 6 minutes of question and response period, which will come from the panel, and some questions that each individual previously received. This will include the 2 standard questions for each candidate and questions from the panel. Excuse me for repeating myself. Then each candidate will have 2 minutes for closing remarks for a total of 10 minutes per candidate. We will have a break halfway through the City Council candidates. I think it's in your best interest to come back up here so that everybody can see your face, even if you had your time at the podium, but that's your choice, candidates. We will have a break again prior to the school board candidates, and our final break prior to the mayoral candidates and our referendums. These breaks will be 10 minutes in length and offer all a brief rest and the candidates to enter and exit the stage. During this evening, some of our chamber ambassadors, volunteers, board members will be collecting questions from the audience if you have them. They will be then given to our media panel. We thank all for your interest and attendance tonight. Please realize, due to time constraints, not all questions may be addressed this evening. but we hope this does give the citizens of this community some help in your future election decisions. Again, thank you for attending this evening, and let us begin. First individual chosen was Rusty Goodall. I will tell you that he is unable to attend this evening because he had a previous engagement in Telluride, which is a zoning and planning workshop for the city of Trinidad. So he's unable. Next person picked was Linda Velasquez. I have a statement here from her, if I may read it. It says, "Thank you for this opportunity to answer questions. I regret not being there with you to answer your questions in person. As many knows, I battled cancer, I am in remission, and I am back to normal. I could mention my previous public service, but that was then. This is now. Like it or not, Trinidad has changed. The community needs have changed. We all have changed. I have changed. The only real resource is Trinidad's citizens. On this very day, in the overall hustle and bustle of everyday lives, it seems the voice of Trinidad's citizens is being silenced by special interest groups. If I am elected, I will be the voice of the people. I will be the voice for the voiceless, and most importantly, I will be your voice. Watch out, special interests. In the near future, I will host a get-together where you can come to meet me and discuss your issues, concerns, and I can answer your questions." In response to this question, what is the city's budget challenge and how would I tackle it? Her answer, yes, absolutely, I would tackle it. The city's budget is like a spine that supports every city function. The city's spine is out of alignment. It needs to be realigned. Our precious citizens of Trinidad need to be heard from and considered when preparing the budget. Trinidad is changing, and the budget needs to be more reflective of this change. For instance, things such as public service need to be taken off the back burner and moved to the front. We need to defund some expenditures and increase in other areas. Crime is increasing. I want to better fund the police department, keep quality officers from leaving, increase the salaries of officers, and better budget for their much-needed equipment. I want to do the same for our fire department. We must increase the salaries of our dedicated, hard-working city employees, such as electrical, parks, and maintenance departments. We must not renew the outsourced sewer department contract. In-source jobs and better utilize services. Better budgeting will yield better results. Second question. What is something the City Council has done that you approved within the last year? Answer. In short, not much. The current City Council seems to have funded special interests, but failed to fund the special actual needs of the community. I don't see where this City Council budget reflects the real needs of its citizens. This must change. As an example, can we fix potholes so big ducks can't swim around in potholes? Challenges need to be met. Problems need to be solved. This can be accomplished with a responsible budget. Next is Frank Sonny Leone Jr. You may most certainly come up here, Sonny. This is meant for everybody to come up. And remember, folks, we are all live on YouTube.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the Trinidad State Junior College for making it possible for us candidates to express our opinions and to the people. Hello, my name is Frank Leone Jr. To my friends and family, it is Sunny. I was educated at Trinidad Holy Trinity School, Trinidad State Junior College, and Southern Colorado State College in Pueblo. I've been married to Sophie Toots for 44 years and have 2 children, Wayne Leone, Timmy Terry, and 1 grandchild, Mario. I've been in the sand and gravel business for as long as I can remember. going to work with my grandfather, my father in Sopris, when I was just a little boy. I started the only ready mix in 1970 at its current location on East Main Street. In 2001, my wife and I started SRG's landscaping and growing supply, and we currently employ 21 local people. I've been in business for most of my life. I know how hard it is and how hard times are. When the budgets are low, the employees are depending on you, and the bills and repairs still coming in. I've been a board member and vice chair for the city planning and zoning for 13 years. I know what a business person goes through and what city building codes are. I'm very familiar with the city charter, the city ordinances, and I have a wide range of construction experience. I was involved in the creation of the recent comprehensive plan for the city of Trinidad. I've also served on many other committees for the city throughout the years. I was appointed by Stanley Biber when he was county commissioner to be on the County Construction Appeals Board. I was president of the Trinidad Optimist Club and received Optimist of the Year award. Trinidad has a great culture and a rich history, and a lot to celebrate, but we have some serious issues to face, as other communities do. With the right leadership, we will be up to the task. Question number 1. What is the biggest challenge and how would you tackle it? I think we've got a lot of challenges, but the one that comes to mind is infrastructure. Water, sewer, and gas is one of the biggest challenges we face in this community. These are Trinidad's lifelines, now and into the future. When you deal with water, you cannot wait for things to break down or reach capacity. If we do that, when you went to turn on your faucet, everybody in this audience, you would have no water. You would have nothing. Very same thing can happen with sewer and gas. We need to start investing now and start investing right away for this to happen and get our infrastructure going into the future. Question number 2. What is something the City Council has done or approved within the last year or so that you disagree with? I had to think a lot about this one. And I picked one that's kind of partial to me. There was a parcel of land that was purchased by the previous City Council next to the sewer plant for future sewer development. Expansion of that plant. As part of this same land was sold by the city without being advertised for sale by the current council. If the city wanted to sell this parcel and they thought they didn't need it, they should have been put out to bid. The land was bought by the city and was intended to be used, if needed, for the future development of the city of Trinidad. Somebody before this council had a vision, and somebody in this council did not have a vision.
Sorry, how are you tonight?
Good.
First question I've got is this is a big crew up here. What separates you from them? What are your distinctives? What makes you different from the rest of these people? Why should people look for you over someone?
I don't know if I'm completely different than anybody up here. But I think I'm unique in being on the planning and zoning board for the last 13 years. Being appointed by 2 mayors. Harry Sears appointed me first. And I didn't know anything. And I had to learn about it. And I was on there when my time came up. I took off and I wasn't put on. And then Mr. Riordan called me up one night and says, I'd like you to be put on the board. Put on the planning and zoning board and put your name in. And I did. So I'm kind of unique in the order that I know some of the things that's going on and some of the issues that face the city. I think that makes me a little bit unique in this area. I'm not unique in the people that are on the city council. They probably know a little bit more than I do. But I'm a problem solver. I solve problems every day in my business. And when you can do that, I know I can do it for the city.
Mr. Leone, which do you believe should drive development and housing choice?
What's that?
Which do you believe should drive development and housing choice? Market forces or council-approved policy and regulation?
I think you have to have a little bit of all of it. That's what I think. That's my answer.
Mr. Leone, you've mentioned
I can't hear you.
You've mentioned being on the planning and zoning board. Can you give us an idea how that might help you in on council?
For one thing, everything that goes to city council, whether it be marijuana, and I was on that board when they started this in 2012. Everything that goes to the city council comes through us first. Planning and zoning reviews it. Decides what is appropriate, what isn't. And it goes to city council. Now, city council can overrule us at any time. But we're the board that puts the basic with the city for the city council. When they get our recommendations, they look them over. And I haven't had too many in the city council when planning and zoning board brought the recommendation to them that they turned down. There was a few times. And there was a few times that I voted no on different things that had to do with marijuana. You could look at my record. I voted no because I didn't think the paperwork was in order. And to me, if you're going to apply for a license, paperwork has to be in order. I'm running for city council because I believe in safety of our citizens, from the very young to the very old. By supporting our police, our first responders, and providing adequate personnel and proper equipment needed, we can make a difference. Trinidad's underground infrastructure, such as water, gas, and sewer, needs to be improved immediately before any emergencies arise. I feel Trinidad needs its ordinance strictly enforced and updated going into the future. The beautification of our great city is very important to me, as well as helping our local businesses succeed by meeting their needs as best as we can. The people, the local businesses, especially the schools, the nonprofit organizations, and are the background of this community. When you are a city councilman, there are many aspects you must be aware of. The first thing you must do is recognize when there is a problem and acknowledge it. Then you need to become a problem solver and do what is best for all segments. I feel, being a businessman, I've had a great amount of training in this area. I hope this explains what I stand for, and hope you choose to vote for me as your next city council representative. I will do my best to bring positivity and stability to our Trinidad City Council. I will bring a new vision, a new direction, with a new voice. I thank all the people for being here tonight, and that's the end of my presentation.
Next is Sergeant Rubelin.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Jane Rubelit. I was born and raised in Trinidad, attended and graduated from Trinidad School District No. 1, Trinidad State Junior College, and St. Louis University. I have a degree in medical sciences as a physician assistant. I am the 5th generation native of Trinidad. I am a home and property owner, and I am the mother of 2 children who are also educated in the Trinidad Public Schools, both who are listening with KCRT from New Jersey this evening. I have been married to local attorney Frank Rubelit for 23 years. Tonight, in a brief statement, I am here to ask you for your vote to be one of your city councilwomen. There are several issues I would like to address as your city council member. Water rights. Water is the source of all life. I will fight for Trinidad water rights and obtain more. Coal and mineral resources. I will defend the use of coal and natural gas. I will do everything in my power to help get these mineral resources back open and functioning. Transportation. I would work with other Front Range cities to reestablish with Amtrak or other rail providers a passenger train that connects Trinidad with other Front Range cities. Marijuana tax revenue. I would be very conservative with your tax dollars and make sure that it benefits each and every one of our citizens, not a select few with personal agendas. Why couldn't this tax be given back to our voters, such as towards our utilities or a refund? Number 5, I would never privatize something such as our sewer department. 6, I would strengthen and enforce our ordinances. We need to do this, especially in regards to the homeless issue. Number 7, I would continue with our Victorian image. Trinidad needs to celebrate our individuality and not be a carbon copy of every place else. Number 8, we need to try to find new industries to come to Trinidad and provide living wages for our young people who are leaving Trinidad for larger cities because they cannot make a living here. Thank you. Question 1, what is the city's biggest challenge and how would you tackle it? The city's biggest challenge is attracting industries that can come here and provide stable jobs and paying living wages. This is important in keeping talented young people here who can't otherwise find anything they can make a living at and raise a family with. The city needs to be proactive in finding businesses that are not part of the boom and bust cycle that has plagued Trinidad for decades, such as energy, home building, and marijuana. We need to look at bringing back some of the educational programs at Trinidad State Junior College, taking advantage of some of the incentives that have been created by lifting burdensome regulations on the coal industry, and in context of expanding the need for prison space that has prompted the state to reconsider reopening the Walsenburg Correctional Facility with the legislature and Department of Corrections finish the construction of the Trinidad Correctional Facility. Number 2, what is something that City Council has done or approved within the last year or so that you disagree with? The City Council has not been judicious when approving marijuana licenses, with this result being there are far too many recreational marijuana dispensaries, 11 in the 8-block heart of Trinidad. The appearance it gives to visitors in Trinidad that is marijuana party central. And the only form of recreation we have here is getting high. Amendment 64, the voter-approved act which legalized recreational marijuana in Colorado, Article 18 of the Colorado Constitution reads, in the interest and the health and public safety of our citizenry, the people of the state of Colorado find and declare that marijuana should be regulated in a manner similar to alcohol. People would think any city council is crazy to approve 11 liquor stores in an 8-block span of the downtown Trinidad area. But for this city council, when it comes to a new marijuana shop, it gets the rubber stamp of approval. It's unlikely the economy could possibly support all these marijuana shops. And if and when New Mexico, which has already legalized medical marijuana, legalizes recreational marijuana, all those cars with New Mexico, Texas, and Arizona license plates parked in front of the marijuana shops downtown will disappear. This is just invites other boom and bust cycle for Trinidad. The boom is certainly exciting, but the bust at the end creates a lot of flight and a lot of poverty. Maybe we ought to talk about some of the restrictions for marijuana dispensaries.
Okay, you indicated that you believe that special interests have been influencing the city council. What special interest groups do you have in mind on that?
Well, I noticed that with the tax money, it wasn't something that served all the citizens of Trinidad. One of the issues was a big amount of money for Monument Lake for the bathhouses. Now, I just can't imagine how many people are going to go up and use those from Trinidad. I think it needs to be something that everybody benefits from, not just a few certain group.
Ms. Rubelid, what else would you like to see change if you were elected as a city council member?
I would like to see new jobs and new industries come to Trinidad. I would like to see us try to get our kids back who are going to have to leave and not be able to come back because we don't have anything else that supports them. The other day I went down to the job service center. There was only one job that paid very well out of a list of about 40 jobs. People cannot make it on just a minimum wage job. And we need to find something and bring it in. And we need to be more creative.
Eric Munson, the Chronicle News. Mrs. Rubelid, you know how tough public life can be. Why do you want this?
I ran 10 years ago for city council, and I lost by 17 votes, and at the time, it was a blessing in disguise. My aunt, who was only 55 at the time, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and she passed away in January that year, then my grandmother passed away in December that year, so it was a blessing in disguise. I've always been involved with the city. I was on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for 12 years. I was, I think, the longest member that the city has ever had. I think we did a lot of important things on that board by trying to make sure that the parks were maintained and certain things were done, and restricted barriers near playgrounds to make sure that nobody was hurt, or bathrooms at the soccer fields. So I think it's very important. I think it's very important to stay involved in your community even when your kids are off at college. I've loved Trinidad, and I hope to stay here. Well, I did not prepare a very good closing, but I will tell you that the employment rate in April of this past year for Trinidad was 3.1%, and the state average was 2.2%. So the boom with marijuana, we still need to bring something else to Trinidad, to bring our children back, to keep them here, and to hopefully continue on with the Trinidad legacy for years to come. I really want to see us look into coal and renewable energy and wind energy. I think that is something that's so important for Southern Colorado and for all of us. I'd like to see the marijuana tax be used for every and all people of Trinidad, because we've been here, and that is only what it should really be for. In closing, I would just like to say thank you to everybody for being here tonight, and I would hope that you would consider me for City Council. Thank you.
Next is Anthony Matei.
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. Thanks, Tom, for helping get our messages out to the voters who are not able to attend. And here we go. As the lone incumbent in the field of candidates seeking a seat on City Council, I'm proud to be an integral part in the driving force behind the creation of the visible energy and the forward momentum we are now enjoying in the city of Trinidad. I believe that my having the courage, the skills, the fortitude to address the critical issues of uniting a divided council, strengthening the position of mayor, selecting capable city managers, developing a focus on art space, taking responsibility for the success of our city, and creating partnerships with others. And yes, embracing the marijuana industry, which is how this positive energy was created from the financial perspective. I am now in urgent need of your vote of support to continue to work with City Council and others so that our newfound prosperity can continue to grow to enhance the quality of life for all of us. Your questions? Okay, question number one. What is the city's biggest challenge and how do you plan to tackle it? There are myriad challenges facing the city. Having been on one of your council representatives for the past 5 years, I am intimately acquainted with the economic climate, the budget constraints, the infrastructure, the homelessness and panhandling issues, the lack of a properly trained workforce, declining funding in the county government, which encumbers city government's financial resources, Monument Lake, and the golf course, both assets of the city of Trinidad, to name a few. However, to the point of the question, it is my opinion that this election presents the city with its biggest and most urgent challenge. The outcome of this election is fundamental to resolving all of the preceding concerns. With the selections that you voters will make, it is conceivable that 42.8% of the composition of City Council will change. With that change will come new, different ideas, attitudes, beliefs that will be brought to the dais. The challenge as I see it is whether or not those philosophies and that which motivates them will complement the current surge of progress and optimism that the city is enjoying and continuing to build upon, or conversely, will the opinions of those 42.8% change create a division and a dysfunction in the council as it was when I joined 5 years ago? And will the aforementioned situations go unresolved? As to the second part of the question, what will I do about it? My distinguished 40-year career in law enforcement, 29 years of which with the Colorado State Patrol, has taught me leadership skills, crisis mediation, interpersonal skills and techniques, sensitivity, listening skills, and to make order out of chaos. As a patrol sergeant, I was a proven team leader, and I was able to build teams, generate enthusiasm, and initiate progressive ideas. Re-elect me, and I will continue to use those skills for the betterment of the advancement of the city of Trinidad. Question number two. What is something that the City Council has done or approved within the last year with which you disagree? My first thought was they didn't want to change the meeting time so I could have more time between work and the meetings, but that's of less importance. That having been said, recognizing that the end result has been quite profitable for the city, in retrospect, I nonetheless wish that we had been better equipped to manage retail marijuana from the beginning. While we were waiting for specific directions and guidance from the state, we initially limited the number of retail outlets to 5. Candidly, that was my idea, a random number, but seemed reasonable. However, planning and zoning had already issued far more conditional use permits. Therefore, the problem presented to us was which of the 5 of those conditional use permit holders would we select? Would it be the first 5? Would it be the best 5? And who was to decide who were the best 5? As a compromise, and to protect the city at that time from threatened legal action, we thought it best to allow all of the holders of the then existing conditional use permits to proceed for licenses. Not all were granted licenses. Some of them did act within the particular times and it fell aside. As there were continued to be an overwhelming number of applicants for conditional use permits, the prevailing wisdom was to open it for all and let the forces of the free market run its course. Because these entrepreneurs are so well funded, the forces of free enterprise did not have the short-term effect with which we had hoped. It is yet to remain to be seen, but it is quite possible that will come into play. Therefore, we have now decided to put a cap, but we are nonetheless bound under the threat of additional litigation to honor those applicants who were in the queue at the time that the cap was instituted.
We have a fiduciary responsibility to protect the city and to honor those unwritten agreements where necessary. Quite honestly, though our intention was to take advantage of the financial benefits of this new legal product, I believe we were often in a position of having to adapt to circumstances in an ever-changing and rapidly developing industry. Ultimately, though, we saw the wisdom of not allowing marijuana money to totally consume our town, as gambling has done in other areas of the state. And we are trying to get a handle on regulated, difficult as that might be. Stay tuned. This chapter in our history is far from over, and I, for one, will be here to hear the rest of the story. Please vote for me and re-elect me to City Council. 1 minute for a question.
Eric, do you have a question, please?
Yes, Mr. Matei, you answered it with your final question there a little bit, but just to qualify, because we had 2 people call out the city council on marijuana. Are you saying you disagree with their assertion that the council has had a rubber stamp for marijuana businesses?
I do. It's not something that planning and zoning says completed applicants, and we heard from the applicants and then stamped it and sent them out their approval. There are many factors to consider, not the least of which being sued. We had one individual who attempted to put many retail outlets in a single building. Well, falling back on state law, we said no. To be determined later.
2 minutes to close, please.
Okay. In the precious time remaining, there is little that I can tell you to add to the volumes that my previous 5 years of service have not already told you about me, what I think, how I act on your behalf and in the city's best interest. If you agree that my service is and has been valuable, I invite you to vote for me. Thank you.
H.L. Bowman Jr., please.
Hi, good evening, everyone. As you know, I'm not a politician. I haven't served on any council. I've never done any of this before, so this is all new to me. But I think that somewhere along the line here in Trinidad, things have got mixed up. I think that the people no longer have a voice. I think that communication and transparency is huge. I think that we need to focus on that. I think that our council needs to act and vote from reaching out to the public to know what they want. You know, I'm approaching this whole election thing a whole different way. You're not going to see my signs anywhere in town. I'm going door to door. I've been business to business, meeting people. I want people to vote for me because they know who I am and what I stand for, and that my heart's in this. And that I want to be what city council is supposed to be, a public servant, where I hear what the public has to say, and I can move on that and make a determination of what I need to do. That's me. And I got the 2 questions. What is the city's biggest challenge, and how would I tackle it? I think one of the city's biggest challenges is communication and transparency. I think that the city needs to work along with the county. I think that we're a community as a whole, and we need to work together. As far as transparency, I think that, you know, we should be able to call any of our government officials at any time or contact them via email or phone. It doesn't matter. But we need to be able to express to them our needs, and we need to reflect on them, and we need to act on them. I think that's our biggest challenge, is communication and transparency. What is something the city council has done or approved within the last year that I, disagree with? I don't want to focus on negatives. I want to focus on what we can do to better things. And like I said in my last question, and I think it just kind of ties together, I think that, the city and county need to work together. I think we need to move forward as a community. It's different for me being up here because I don't do this stuff. So when I'm representing you guys, I'm representing everyone. I'm representing the single mom, the business owner, The guy that goes to work that can't get to his football game, because he's got to work, and his kids are playing football. I'm that guy. I want to be that person, and I ask for your vote for that reason.
Eli?
Mr. Bowman, what are your main concerns for the city, and how would the city benefit from you being elected?
Well, I think, like I was saying, I think the people as a whole have lost their voice. I think that a lot of past members kind of end up in their own agenda or the good old boy system. And I think the voice of the people needs to be heard. And, I personally have my phone number. It should be out in the Chronicle News. I know I, did an interview for that, and I've got an email address and a Facebook page. I want to be available for people to address me and say, hey, I've got this problem. And, I want to be able to reflect on that and bring it to council and move things.
Bill?
You said you want to represent the voice of many of the people of Trinidad, and you've talked to a lot of people. What are they saying? What are their voice saying?
It's crazy. We've got an amazing community. I love Trinidad. I was born here. My dad actually took us out of here because, the mining industry had kind of taken a plunder. And, I ended up living in Denver, all of my grade school and high school years, and I went to private schools. I went to Our Lady of Fatima, and then I went to Mullen. But when I came back here, sorry, I'm getting off subject, but seeing these people, it's amazing. I don't know if any of you guys have, went door to door and talked to people, but I am so, blessed to hear this stuff. You hear these people that are, I went to a lady's house the other day, in Colorado, and she told me that her husband's a teacher in Aguilar. She has adjusted her schedule. She's got a newborn, and she's also got a 3-year-old. She used to go shopping when her husband would get home from work. She's adjusted her schedule because she's afraid to shop at Safeway. So now she's taken her newborn and this 3-year-old to Safeway early in the morning. And, hearing stuff like that, it's like, wow, that's a concern that, we need to address. Why are we infringing on other people's rights? Because, we don't want to address things. Our police and firemen, they need to be paid, our teachers. We need to stand for these people because, they're a reflection of us. I just hope that I could be what people need, an ear, someone to listen to, and then act on it.
Eric?
Mr. Bowman, is it possible your inexperience is a strength?
What's that?
Is it possible your inexperience is a strength?
My inexperience is a strength? Is that what you said? Absolutely. I think that, I'm coming into this and, there's tons for me to learn. And, I've had an interview at the Chronicle News and I've had an interview over with Tom at Murphy's. And I know I don't know a lot of stuff, that's, the city is going through. But I want to learn it. And by learning it, I want to be available to everyone out there, so that I can reflect on that and learn stuff, and be receptive to, what's going on in this town.
2 minutes to close, please.
Well, I encourage you guys to get out and vote, if not for me, and, if I change any of you guys in, the way you're running, I hope that I bring the voice back to the people, even if it's not me. I hope I encourage you guys to listen to the people. Like I said, I've been walking neighborhoods, talking to people, talking to business owners, and it just blows my mind, the needs of these people. And it's awesome. It's awesome because we do live in a great place. How many places can you drive 5 minutes to a lake? A beautiful lake. Drive to the mountains 10 minutes. We've got a beautiful community, and, we need to focus on it. We need to come together, the county, the city, and we need to move forward, and do the best for our community and for our children. I've got a 6-month-old baby at home, that is a product of our society here. And I'm very blessed with that. It's humbled me, and I can't tell you how many ways, but you start reflecting on what people's needs are when you go out there and you actually talk to them. Thank you guys. You're not going to see my signs, but you know, my communication barrier is down. Please talk to me, and I'm going to be walking neighborhoods. If you haven't saw me yet, I'll be there. Thank you.
Jackson Pixley.
Growing up restless in a small rural farming town in the middle of an Iowa cornfield, I could not wait to get out. Quite literally, the day after my college graduation, I picked up all my belongings and headed west, my fame and fortune awaiting me in California. Well, I didn't make it very far. My beat-up Ford Taurus died in the middle of Nebraska. After hitchhiking for several days, I found my next home in Salida, Colorado. Many years and adventures later, I found myself here and have made the small rural town of Trinidad my home. I guess the moral of this short introduction is that sometimes when we grow and mature, we discover that what we truly want, where we truly belong, is where we start. My name is Jackson Pixley, and I'm a proud resident of Trinidad, Colorado. I'm running for a seat on City Council because in the relatively short span of time that I have lived here, I've absolutely fallen in love with this small town. I love the history, the architecture, and the relaxed vibe, and have come to know and respect so many wonderful residents of Trinidad. I felt at home almost since the day I arrived. But more than all that, I see such huge potential for this town and community. Potential to grow and prosper, potential for new and exciting businesses and industries to thrive, potential to give our children an even better standard of living than we have enjoyed. I believe that by not only taking care of our community in the present, but by also planning for the future, we can make Trinidad a place that both current and future generations can be proud to call home. Question number one, what is the city's biggest challenge and how do we tackle this? I feel our city's biggest challenge moving forward is finding a way to make the most of our current largest tourist draw and finding a way to springboard that success into long-term viable economics. Much of what I've learned about the history of Trinidad, this has always been a boom-bust town. Certain industries have thrived here in the past and have allowed the community to prosper. Then they left, and along with them went jobs, people, and the economy. Largely due to the new cannabis industry, Trinidad is booming once again. I plan on using my future seat on City Council to use our current industrial boom and the enormous tax revenue generated from it to not only to continue to revitalize our town, but to plan ahead for the inevitable decline of our cannabis industry. Marijuana, like it or not, will eventually be legal in many other states, if not nationwide. When states such as Texas and New Mexico legalize, a huge percentage of tourist dollars and traffic are going to dry up. So planning ahead and using this current tax revenue wisely to create other industries and tourist attractions to the area should be our primary focus and concern. Second question posed to me is, what is something that City Council has done in the last year that I disagree with? I feel City Council made a huge misstep when it passed the moratorium on social cannabis clubs and events. The cannabis industry, whether you agree with it or not, draws tens of thousands of people to our town every year. We have two choices, really. Shoot these tourists off, or embrace them and give them options and reasons to stay longer in our town. The longer they stay, the more money they pump into our local economy by means of hotels, restaurants, and shopping at our local shops and markets. I believe the fear of the unknown has cost this community a lot of money already.
Mr. Pixley, you are a big advocate of marijuana and the industry that has been spawned around it. What direction would you like to see that specifically? What direction would you like to see that industry grow?
Well, that's a tricky question. I honestly believe there are too many dispensaries in town. Again, there's nothing we can do about that anymore. But while it's here, why don't we embrace it, right? Again, let's open up, cannabis clubs and events and other tourist attractions that are going to get people to stay in this town for longer. I mean, right now, I used to work in the cannabis industry. I was the general manager of Freedom Road. You know, right now, I can't tell you how many people, they came, they bought their pot, and they left. That was their whole thing. People would be like, 20 times a day out here, where do we go to smoke? Where can we go socialize? And we had no answer for them. Let's give them an answer. Let's give them a reason to stay in town.
Eli DeMono, KCRT. Mr. Pixley, how would you entice and lure future businesses to invest in our city?
Well, honestly, we have a lot going for us here, right? This is a beautiful town with a lot of outdoor areas. So enticing more tourists. I mean, let's build some more bike trails, right? Let's get some sort of business in town that rents out ATVs and skidoos and fishing boats, all those sorts of things. I mean, also, we live right on I-25. We have railroad tracks going through town. We have nearly perfect weather, in my opinion. What industry wouldn't want to move here?
Mr. Pixley, what do you say to that Trinidad lifer that says Jackson Pixley's only been here a couple of years? What does he know about our problems?
Well, honestly, I think that that's a bonus, right? I have not been inundated with the old ways, okay? I am beholden to nobody in this town, okay? I'm here to stay. I'm a business owner in town now, right? So I'm not going anywhere. I want everybody to know that. But again, you know, I am not beholden to any special interest groups here. And, you know, I do think I bring a fresh set of eyes to the town and the problems that it faces.
2 minutes to close, please.
There are a great many candidates running for city council this term, but I feel I bring a unique set of skills and perspective to the race. Growing up in a rural community, I have maintained and embraced my small town values, but I've also traveled extensively. I've lived in a dozen different communities, both large and small, and seen many different ways and ideas that each has utilized to succeed at setting themselves apart from the crowd. I believe my new home can do the same thing. Aside from the issues I've already touched on, I'd also like to tackle the problem of our grossly underfunded schools and police department. These things need solved. I believe that having not been living in Trinidad for long gives me a unique perspective of the town and the problems it faces. I believe that with my new point of view and some fresh ideas, I can help move Trinidad forward towards long-term prosperity. Again, my name is Jackson Pixley, and I look forward to serving my community. Thank you all for your time and consideration.
Good evening. Thank you, TSJC, Trinidad Los Animas County Chamber of Commerce, and the Trinidad Chronicle correspondent Jessica O'Connell for yesterday's front page Meet the Candidate article. I really appreciate her candid views, and I really appreciate the support of my blended family, Levi, Antoinette, Robert, and Joseph, and my loving husband, who's often called the country doctor of photography and a publishing magnate, Steve Wharton. And with 5 brothers and 3 sisters in our Delicio family, our labor was split between household chores and clerking at our family clothing store. My first job as a sales clerk for Delicio's department store instilled early work ethics. I was trained by my Aunt Christine, my grandfather Joe Sr., founder of International State Bank, and my dad Joe Jr. They all built my splendid personality. I remember standing as a mannequin to entice people into the store when it got boring and waving at them and shocking them to come into the store to buy clothes. But it was my mom, Edna Ruth Swanson, who ignited my interest in music and dance. And I served 25 years as a music educator for pre-K through grades 12 school district in public and private schools. I secured my master's degree in public administration, where I earned my first million for the city of Albuquerque, New Mexico. As a rookie research specialist, I submitted over 4 years of construction payments to the EPA so they could reimburse the city's wastewater plant expansion. And if elected to the city council, I would like to share my cost-benefit analysis skills I utilized as city treasurer and purchasing agent for the city of Norman, where I met Steve. Norman, the third largest city in Oklahoma, with a population of over 100,000, is home of OU Sooners and the University of Oklahoma. What is the biggest challenge and how would you tackle it? Diversification of the economic base to bring a variety of jobs and preparing our students with workforce readiness is our dual challenge. In our county, the big four employers are health and wellness, food and agriculture, energy and transportation, tourism and outdoor recreation, creative industries, manufacturing, and technology industries ranked 5th through 8th. The state share of marijuana tax money is constitutionally dedicated to the Building Excellent School Today Fund, BEST, to replace or renew deteriorating public schools. Surely Trinidad's junior high school qualifies for these monies. They may need matching monies from the city. Should we be prioritizing the marijuana tax to be used as matching funds for the state of Colorado excise tax? This significant architecturally designed Rapp Brothers building needs a priority of upgrade for our students. Last August, New Legends Productions hosted New York City-based Eric Hawkins Dance Company. He was one of the 12 Legends of Trinidad that was promoted in the Banner Project by the Tourism Board. Can you visualize, the students, they had to polish the floor and sand it with the help of the Trinidad Junior High maintenance crew for readiness for the professional dancers and our local students who took the week-long dance intensive. I'd like to visualize a Trinidad with the best schools by renovating these buildings. These best schools will more adequately prepare our students for their future because we've upgraded our historically significant buildings today. The second question. What is something the City Council has done or approved within the last year that I disagree with? I really won't render any opinions out of ignorance until I carefully study all of the components. It's not that I disagree with what the City Council has done, but feel we need to get more clarification about how the City Council and staff prioritize expenditures and maximize these expenditures. What types of cost-benefit analysis are performed for all projects in the 6 funds of general, capital projects, water, sewer, gas, power and light, and special funds? Like many of my fellow citizens, we question how priorities are determined and if they are based on needs and obligations versus desires and wants. Will we be prepared when the marijuana windfall starts depleting? Should we be conserving some of these resources to be used as seed money to recruit businesses who may offer better paying jobs for all the industries, tourism, outdoor recreation, technology, manufacturing, and the creative industries? We should be thoughtful in maximizing the dollars we do have.
Eric?
You mentioned your connection to New Legends magazine. Is it ethical for you to hold a political office?
Well, Mr. Leone is a business owner, and I'm a business owner, so I don't know why I can't ethically hold an office.
As far as running a media company?
Pardon?
Running a media company and holding political office.
Well, I'm not aware of any. I would research it if I need to.
Eli DeLone, KCRT. Mr. Alicia, what do you feel is your strongest attribute that you bring to the table tonight?
I feel my background in the education sphere and representing what students and teachers need. I've had 25 years experience, and I know that I've recently been invigorated by talking to these teachers and students to find out that they are happy in this school area and that we do need to improve our scores. We do need to improve our buildings. So I think that's my biggest attribute, is in talking with other people, and I also facilitate. I'll talk more about that in my closing statement.
2 minutes to close, please. Oh, I'm sorry.
Bill? Last and one.
Mr. Alicio, what I understand you saying here is that you think city government needs to become more involved in manufacturing a healthier environment for business. Are there specifics that you have in mind?
An example would be our magazine. We are trying to look at the businesses' needs, and we produce and get out information about the businesses. We distribute over 30,000 of those magazines, and we're trying to get tourism to join us. We also have a lot of distributors that really feed the target markets that are coming in here. And I think we represent quite a few businesses through a lot of research that we do for them.
And now 2 minutes to close, please.
Well, I'd like to encourage the Trinidad's new Convention and Tourism Board to be a leader in the growing monthly events calendar. These should benefit our lodgers, restaurants, and shopping for 12 months of the year. Replacing the Highway of Legends billboard on just south of I-25 should surely help to discover multiple hidden treasures of our Sangre de Cristo region. Signing on with the Colorado agritourism industry would favor and promote our number 2 industry of agriculture for our region. Recruiting small and medium conferences would definitely acknowledge our number 1 industry of health and wellness. I just put out a few of my other qualifications. As Arts Education Director for the State Arts Council, I produced a showcase for over 250 classroom teachers and invited museums and artists to present so they could book students in schools and community residencies. This improves student achievement in all subject areas. I facilitated multiple meetings for the city and county of Santa Fe where we secured priorities for a diverse range of artists and arts businesses, both profit and nonprofit. That's how I secured a National Endowment for the Arts Local Programs grant to demonstrate the economic impact of the arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico. That's how I can share my talents with the city of Trinidad. In conclusion, vote for me and get your friends and family out to vote November 7th at number 4 on the ballot. Thank you for coming tonight.
Karen Grego.
Guys forgot about me.
No forgetting here.
Okay, good deal. Good evening, my name is Karen Grego. I'm running for a seat on City Council. Like many of my other fellow candidates, I'm a resident of Trinidad. I attended Trinidad schools, graduating from Trinidad High School, and I also attended Trinidad State. I'm married to Ed, who is also my business partner. That in itself should let you know that I'm qualified to do this job. I've been married to the man for 48 years, and I worked with him for 43. I have 2 adult daughters, Jean, who is an assistant principal at the Cherry Creek School District in Denver, and Kathleen, who is our business partner at Grego Insurance. Ed and I also have 1 granddaughter. Grego Insurance was established in 1975, and I've worked there for those 42 years. I've received several awards of excellence in my career in the insurance industry, and I have also served on some advisory boards for some major insurance companies that operate within the United States. I was a co-owner of the Wendy's fast food franchise for 15 years, but our family sold that business so we could concentrate on a business that's profitable. I have been, well, no, I qualify that. Wendy's was profitable, but it was a lot of work. I have been very active in the community over the years, including board membership on the Tourism Board, the Chamber of Commerce Board, Noah's Ark Board, and the 3rd Judicial District Victims Compensation Board. I have 2 governor-appointed positions that I held, boards and commissions. One was for the Small Business Advisory Board for the 3rd Judicial District, and I've been awarded the Businesswoman of the Year in 2005, I believe, and also with my family, I was awarded the J. Edgar Chenoweth Award for Community Service. I didn't take my decision, I didn't take this lightly. I thought about it. As a matter of fact, I didn't pick up my petition until a week after everybody else picked up theirs because I thought about it long and hard. And I'm sorry my speech is longer, I won't be able to finish, but this is basically what I'm trying to tell you. I'm giving you the philosophy that Karen Grego believes in, knowing that I'm applying that to a position that you have to make a lot of decisions. I've got experience with past boards, profit, non-profit. I've had experience in the business field, and I'm very qualified. This is a good time in my life to be on city council because I can devote the time necessary.
First question answered, please.
I'm getting to it. What is the city's biggest challenge and how would you tackle it? Well, kind of my answer to that question is it's the budget, baby. It's always the budget, baby. And, you know, with a growing community, you have different challenges than you have when you're in a community that's in an impoverished state. We're having increased demands on infrastructure, public safety demands, maintenance of road demands, and the trick is to make the budget balance that you don't overspend, but you also make these services available. The second part of the question would be, how would I tackle that? The answer is in utilizing the staff and other council members. We're a team. You gotta be a team. You work with city staff. I was sitting at city council the other night and I looked in the two front rows of the council chambers. I couldn't count the years of experience that those people had in that area. You need to utilize your people and you need to work as a team. What is something the city council has done and approved within the last year that I would disagree with? And I go with Ms. Deluzio. I don't have the expertise to tell these people what they did wrong. I mean, you've got the staff that I mentioned before. You have 7 people that work as a team that sit there and put in countless hours of their time discussing the issues that affect all of us, and then they come to a consensus. That's what it's all about.
Bill, first question.
There seems to be a lot of business experience sitting up here on this panel, and I applaud you. The city does need a lot of business experience in its leadership positions. What direction would you like to see the city go into during your term? How would you lead the city?
As far as what?
In business growth and development, what businesses would you like to see come in?
Well, I think the groundwork has been laid for us already. You know, everybody has been concentrating on marijuana, but the big elephant in the room is the space to create. I mean, that's going to be a huge project for the city. And I think it's going to naturally bring art-related businesses into the community. You can see Trinidad gravitating to a business community. An art business community already. And I think if the city council did that with that 1.6 million that they designated for the space to create, then we've got to just grow on that.
Mrs. Grego, since everything is pretty much predicated on unity, how well would you agree to disagree on an issue that you were in opposition of?
As far as the energy?
Yes.
I'm not in opposition. I mean, I think natural resources, the solar energy, and that needs to be an asset for this community, but I don't have any disagreement.
Eric Nelson, the number of boards you served on is about a mile long. Well, why have you been so active?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Why have you been so active?
That's a darn good question. I wish I had an answer to that. Well, let me tell you, really from the bottom of my heart, Trinidad has been awful good to the Grego family. You know, we've been able to make a living here. We've raised our children, got them college educated from our business in Trinidad. And I think it behooves every one of us to give back to a community by public service. And if that's all I have to offer, and I do it willingly, I have learned, you know, it's kind of a selfish thing too, because I have learned on all those boards and commissions I have been on. I left those positions knowing more than when I left.
Two minutes to close, please.
I guess you've noticed that all of my remarks tonight have been somewhat philosophical, because I want you to know who Karen Grego is and how she operates. And I want you to consider me for city council, knowing what I will do. I'm not going to keep promises that I can't keep to you. I don't believe in doing that. But I will pledge the following. I will promise that I will be a good steward of your tax dollars. I promise to always respect my fellow council members, the city staff, and my constituents. I promise to apply the same work ethic I use in my own personal business to doing the business of the city. I promise to serve with integrity and honesty, and I promise to listen to my fellow citizens. I want to thank the Chamber for putting on this event. I really appreciate it. And before I ask you for your vote, I want to ask you something else that's going to take a little bit more time, but I think you will get a lot of education. Please go to one city council meeting. It's not the glamorous job you all think it is. Thank you.
Anthony Matarano. That's for last as possible.
Well, I can sure vouch for this lady here. She's been a friend for years and years, and I've known her before she got married to Eddie. And she is a very small person, and whatever she says she can do, she will do. I've lived in Trinidad and Los Animas County for all my life. I'm a second generation from Palermo, Italy. And I've been in business since 1971. I married Kathy, same 48 years. We had 4 children. We lost one this last January. I'm here to make a statement that I'm going to give it all I can to turn some things around. I think the past council has done a very good job. I don't think they've done a bad job. The problem is that the infrastructure of our community is really having a hard time. Our employees that we have in the city, they're not full staff anymore. The police department is not full staff anymore. We don't have department heads anymore. Our city is getting old, but there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be done. We need to be able to get this infrastructure put together. We need to have a timetable of how we're going to replace the growing age of this infrastructure. Without good superintendents of sewer, water, and gas, and power and light, it's going to be difficult to replace all that stuff. Our police department needs a lot of help. We're asking for them to do a lot of things that they're not capable of doing because they don't have the ordinances to be able to do what they're supposed to do and make it happen. It's very, very difficult for them to handle panhandlers and transits, and that's a very difficult area. No matter which way you do it, you got the ACLU on your back, but we have to start doing something. We can't do nothing. And the Riverwalk, you can't even walk down the Riverwalk anymore. People can't leave their doors open anymore. I had a person at my house sitting at the doorstep, and then he sat on the curb, and then he came back up to the doorstep, and I finally went out there and asked him, I said, what are you doing? He said, I want to use your bathroom. You know, it's a sad situation that we have, but we have to fix it some way. We have to work together to make it work. Okay? I think that's what we're after. That's what I'm after. I'm after if we could put a really good employee base, have the proper staff, make sure that we have the department heads that have at least 5 or 6 years, maybe even more experience. This is what we need. This is what we need to have to help these people, and we have to staff them. We can't do without them.
Anthony, can we go to your first question, please?
First question. What is the city's biggest challenge, and how would you tackle it? Well, I have mentioned a couple of things. The panhandlers and transits is a big problem, and how we're going to fix it is that we have to get started someplace. We have to be able to get going, trying to get something going on that. And replacing department heads in all our departments is a big thing. If you have a good, strong employment base, you're going to have a good, strong government. Without these employees, we have nothing. And I think we need to make sure that we get that fixed. Second thing, what is something that City Council has done or approved? I asked that question in my restaurant. Well, I had all kinds of things. But you know, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes, right? And past council has probably made some mistakes too. That commercial street has got to be the worst thing I've ever seen. We've had more accidents. My wife had an accident there. And you just barely open your door and you're going to clip that person. That is probably one of the worst things that we've done. And how do we fix it? I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know how you would fix that situation. My wife and I, we don't go down that street anymore. It's a hazard. I've seen people doing a U-turn in that street. Yeah. And that's, to me, I think that's probably one of the worst things I've seen happen in the past.
Bill Knowles, World Journal. You mentioned the building of ordinances to allow to take care of the problems that they can take care of. Besides the panhandling and the homeless, what other ordinances do you believe are necessary for the police to be able to do their job correctly?
Well, I really believe that if we could get together police department, sheriff's department, the DA's office, maybe even get somebody from the state, from the Attorney General's office, somebody that can help us out in trying to put together some ordinances that don't violate anybody's rights. The panhandlers are very difficult to deal with, but there's some things that we can do. And I believe one of the ordinances should be is that all your city parks all city property have a curfew on it, okay? Other things like if they're camping out on somebody's private property, if we could approach that people and put up some non-trespassing signs to where if they trespass on that property, then you have an ordinance that you can take care of that. Littering is another one. There is a lot of things that we could probably work together with, but we just have to get together and try to make it work.
Mr. Moderano, Eli Bono, KCRT. What are some of your, list some of your, just a few of your past accomplishments, and what other main issues would you like to make tangible for the city?
Well, I've been in business since 1971. I've had some ups and I've had some downs, but you know, working the system, not giving up, working hard. This last business, my wife told me that I was crazy to even start. And but you know, the first year and a half, I put 84 hours a weekend, and we made it work. It's a very striving business right now. And but like I say, it takes a lot of work, and anything you do, it takes a lot of work. City council is going to take a lot of work, and we can make it work. I've heard a lot of things about marijuana, and there's a lot of people for it, there's a lot of people against it. I'm neither one, okay? I'm not against it, and I'm not for it. But I think that with my ability, I've worked with 21 years with the alcohol treatment services, and we turned that around. It used to be called Suspicious Peak Alcohol Treatment Services, and we changed it to Crossroads, and we combined Pueblo, Trinidad, and Alamosa together. So it's really a good situation. I think I can probably do as good as anybody that's here. I'm not going to speak against any one person here. I don't think politics should end friendships. I think politics is just a difference in opinions, and I think we can make that work.
Anthony, you have 2 minutes to close, please.
You're closing? Okay. I just want to, I had mentioned a little about 21 years on the alcohol treatment services, Crossroads alcohol treatment services. I spent 6 years in the National Guard. That's when I got to first know about Karen. Her dad was the sergeant major, and it was before she got married to Eddie, too. Yeah. My business experience, and I've been a county commissioner for 4 years. I've got a lot of experience to do a lot of things. If you vote for me, I'm not going to tell you I'm going to put 84 hours a weekend, but I will put in a good, honest effort to get things done. And I appreciate being here. I appreciate having 10 people running for city council. I think you ought to give them all applause for doing that. You know, that's an amazing thing. And I think we're all going to have fun doing it. And people say, well, how are you going to have fun? I said, when I get to be on the city council, we're going to have fun. If you can't have fun, why do you want to be there? You know. So thank you, and vote for me, and I'll give you my honest effort. Thank you.
We'll now have a 10-minute break. Council candidates, thank you. At the end of the 10-minute break, we'll leave the school board candidates on the stage. Thank you. 10 minutes, please.
Hey, I'm driving here, Audi. You made it up here, Ricky.
Long time no see.
seats, ladies and gentlemen. Take your seats. Please take your seats. Thank you. Again, I think there will be the possibility of some questions from the audience. You will make sure that let somebody know that you have a question. It will be brought to the panel. They will either choose your questions or proceed with theirs, but the opportunity certainly is for them to choose questions from the audience also. You have seated before you the candidates for the Trinidad School Board November election. Excuse me, you each will have 2 minutes for introduction, followed by 6 minutes of question and answer period. I think you all received 2 questions previously. Address those first, then we'll go to the panel. At the end of the 6 minutes of question and answers, then you'll have 2 minutes to close. Jenny Garduno.
Good evening, everyone, and I'd like to thank everyone that had anything to do with this activity tonight. We sure do appreciate it as candidates. My name is Jenny Virginio, and I am seeking a seat on the Trinidad School District Board. I was born and raised here, and I have my roots here. I was married to my late husband, Dave Virginio, and I am the proud mother of 4 children and several grandchildren. All my children were raised here at the school district level, and I have several of my grandchildren that are actually attending the various schools here in the district. I am a retired registered nurse. My education consists of several degrees, including a Master's of Science in Nursing Education and Administration. I have served on several commissions and boards in the past. I have been a pretty active participant in the community. Some of the areas where I have served is in the Trinidad Planning and Planning Commission and Zoning. I have served on the council for 8 years, the last 2 being that as the mayor. I currently serve on the Trinidad Housing Authority Board. I have served on the Trinidad State Junior College Foundation, La Confederación Scholarship Committee, the Las Animas Coal Miners Scholarship Committee, and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm very proud of my participation in the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce because several years back we took it upon ourselves to raise the money that it took to construct the Miners Memorial Monument that you see there on Main Street. It has been quite an attractive for people that come through town, through tourists, and I'm very proud of that particular activity. I have held various administrative positions requiring such tasks as budget planning, budget management, recruitment, policy adoption, as well as satisfaction survey analysis. I chose to run because I am the advocate of public education, and I value its preparation for the youth for the workforce.
First question, please.
Let's go, dude.
First,
I'm sorry, this is a question that she has previously. It is, are you committed to yearly sharing the major ways you as a school board member evaluate the district's progress?
Okay, that was the second question.
I never get everything right.
But that's okay, we'll go with that. Are you committed to yearly sharing the major ways you as a school member evaluate progress? Evaluating progress is a very critical part of what we do in the school district. The simple answer is yes. I believe that it's very imperative. I am very committed to transparency. I believe that the taxpayers of the community deserve the right to know what is going on in the community and how we evaluate. I can't give you specific ways of how we would evaluate progress until I would get in there and see what we're doing, what we're planning, and how we plan the future for the schools. But I do think that it's very imperative, it's important. I think there needs to be an ongoing process for evaluation. It should not be just an annual process. It should be an ongoing process. We should be evaluating as we move forward, as we make plans, as we set goals and purposes. We need to be evaluating why we set those goals and how we achieve those goals.
Next question, Morris.
What are your priorities for the district's coming year? The district has faced some real challenges as of recent. I think one of the challenges that we have, which should be a priority, is to increase enrollment. Over the years, the district has had a declining enrollment for various reasons. We've lost students to online academies, we've lost students to other schools. Because of the nature of the society of schools, I think that education has become a very competitive component of our community. It's necessary to engage teachers, students, coaches, parents, staff, as we set plans, as we set priorities. I think we need to have their input. The teachers and the staff are out there with our students. They're interacting with students, they are interacting with parents, and I believe that we need to push for that. I think we need to encourage that as we set the priorities. The next priority that I see is to have a sustainable budget. It's a cause and effect situation. If you lose students, you lose money, and the budget suffers from it. So we need to first look at how we get students back, what we can do to attract students. We need to see how we get students interested in coming back to the community, to our school district. And until we do that, it's going to be, the budget is going to continue to suffer. So we need to set some definite plans. What can we do to attract students? Why are we losing students? There's a lot of competition out there. It's not a set of students now that have no other options. They have lots of options now, and we have to make sure that we are satisfying those needs for them.
Question?
Eli DeBono, KCRT. Mr. Gardenia, what have you done in your professional career, and how have those experiences prepared you for service on the school board?
Well, one of my other experiences is that I have been a business owner. And throughout my other activities, I've had to deal with budgets. I've had to understand how we build a business. We need to understand what are the problems and what are the solutions. As an educator, I can understand one of the problems that faces the educational system. It's not just District 1 here. It's a problem. And so I feel that the experience and the activities that I participated in throughout the years has given me, I've learned a lot, it's given me leadership skills that I now have. And I believe that I can utilize those as we move forward to try to make our school district one of the best.
Mr. Gardino, why do you want to run for school board, and why now?
I'm on the school board, first of all, because I am an educator. And I can appreciate the importance of education. I am a strong advocate of education because I know its value and how it serves our youth to be able to serve the workforce. So that is one of the reasons. I am retired now. I have the time to devote to it so that I can be an active participant. I have the experience in doing research so that when we start to move forward and deal with those challenges, I think I have the ability and the skill to be able to participate in that.
Ms. Gardenia, Bill Knowles with the World Journal. You just talked about a couple of the priorities, increasing enrollment, creating a sustainable budget. Other factors that are decaying infrastructure, teacher recruitment and retention. How are you going to approach those when voters traditionally or historically here in your area really aren't anxious to see their taxes go up by voting into a mill levy increase?
That's a really good question, because my third priority was to fix the aging infrastructure, but because of the time constraints, I was not able to address the third priority. So there are a lot of things that have contributed to the problem that we now face with the budget and with the enrollment. couple of them are, I've talked to various parents of various students as to why have your students, or have you chosen to send your students to other, to online academies or to just other schools. We have some that gone to Boney, some that gone to Primero. And so we need to look at why it's happening. Until we know why it's happening, we can't fix the problem.
2 minutes to close, please.
You're all faced with the task of selecting a person who you think is the best qualified person. I believe I'm that person. Through my professional and community activities, I have learned a lot and I've gained the essential leadership skills. I have the ability to listen and communicate effectively, as well as a strong sense of fairness and honesty. I'm an independent thinker, and I have no axe to grind. I'm doing this because I want to see our educational system flourish, I want to see it get better, and I want us to educate our youth as well as we can. I believe that together we can build a thriving, healthy school district for our youth and for our community. Thank you.
Joseph Terry.
Hi, I'm Joe Terry, and a native of this area. I graduated from Snowford High School and went on to Trinidad State Junior College. Went to Adams State College and got a BA degree in elementary education. I went on to the University of Denver and received a master's degree in special education. I'm married to my wonderful pal, wife, and friend, Louise, who just got her 35-year certificate for teaching in District 1. I have a son, Joe Jr., and a daughter, Regina. Joe lives in Pueblo, Regina lives in Colorado Springs. I'm running for the school board because one of our most precious commodities we have in Trinidad is our youth. I have been a positive force for the past 4 years, and I want to be involved in the next 4 years. I want to continue to see our test scores improve and see our students involved in leadership and achieve their goals. And we started a leadership program here in town, here in Trinidad District 1, which has really improved the attitude of students. The first question is, are you committed to yearly sharing in major ways you as a school board member evaluate the district's progress? Yes, I am. But we have several other ways that we evaluate the district progress. The testing scores data is open to the public. They are on the state's website. Test scores are not the only way of evaluation. We have parent organizations that give our administration feedback. We have conducted surveys with our students, and all our information is part of our evaluation process, and results are public. Question number 2. What are your priorities for the district in the coming year? My greatest disappointment, and I'm going to work hard to try to get it passed again, was a mill levy override figure. I know people that most people don't like to pay taxes, but they have to think of our top priority, the students. It's not going to cost a lot of money. We had the evaluation made, and I'm not going to bring them out now because it's not the time to do that. We need money for technology. Our technology is terrible in School District 1. We have one lady that works for the school district uses her cell phone because she can't get out on the school's internet when she has to. The school's internet is just works part-time. My wife works special ed. She tries to get email from both these. Sometimes he gets it, sometimes he doesn't. We really need that. It's a desperate thing that we need. And our infrastructure is just as important. Our schools need a lot of upkeep, a lot of improvement. We need new furnaces, we need new sidewalks. There's a lot of jobs that have to be done as far as the infrastructure and the technology. This is our students, and one of my priorities is to pass the mill levy override in the future. I want to get some of the students back. We have exceptional programs, and I hope that parents will come and visit our school to see what we have before they move their kids on to other schools.
Special education is an important factor of public schools, and that BOCES has already indicated to me that there are about 60 students who have been diagnosed with autism. And this is not counting those who have been assessed with autism. Where is the money going to come from to take care of these kids and see that they receive the education that they right now have to receive?
Some of the money we get from BOCES, and some of the money we hope to get from the mill levy override if it passes. It's really tough. It's tough to do anything without money, and we're hurting for money.
Eli DeBono, KCRT. Mr. Terry, I was in education for 34 years. What would you like legislation to address to make changes to further better education?
I'd like to see them do away with the negative factor. That would help school districts all over the state tremendously. I think last year we lost about $1 million because of the negative factor. If people don't know what the negative factor is, if the governor does not meet his budget, he goes and takes the money out of the education department. And that's how he meets his budget. And we end up pulling the stick.
Chronicle News. Mr. Terry, you're the incumbent. What about your school board service are you most proud of? What about your school board service are you most proud of?
Well, there's a lot of things I'm proud of. I'm very proud of the progress we've made in the last 4 years in bringing up test scores. Some of our schools went from turnaround all the way to the top. That's great. The other two schools went up 3 or 4 steps. So I'm very proud of that.
Do you feel like there's a lot of time being spent beating students up for tests? Beating students up for tests. A lot of time being spent in the classroom beating students up for tests. This is a complaint that I've heard from several people. So there's a lot of time has been spent beating students up to the test rather than just paying attention to their education. Do you feel that's so?
No, I don't. I don't feel like that. No, I don't.
Eric? You mentioned the infrastructure. What resources would you like to see brought to bear on that problem? How would you like to deal with the infrastructure problem?
Well, we can deal with infrastructure problems with money. You have to have money to do it. You have to have money to put in a new boiler. You have to have money for sidewalks. It's the whole involves money.
2 minutes to close.
I feel I'm very honest and show great respect for everyone. My voting record shows I have supported our staff and value everyone's opinion. want to continue to move in a forward and positive direction. Thank you.
Gary Desani.
Introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Gary Desani, and I'm running for a seat on Trinidad School District 1 School Board. I'm actually born and raised in Walsenburg, Colorado, where I graduated from Drummond High School in 1992. In '99, I graduated with a BA degree from Fort Lewis College. I completed a 2-year, half a program in engineering, and then completed an exercise science degree. While I was attended Fort Lewis College, I played football and coached there for 3 years as well. After college, I moved here to Trinidad, where I married my wife, Christina Vazan, and that was in 2000. And we began our family in 2001 when our daughter Gianna was born. Our son Dario was born in 2004. My daughter Gianna is currently a sophomore at Trinidad High School, and my son Dario is currently a 7th grade student at Trinidad Middle School. Currently, I'm working for Walsenburg 7 Gravel. This is where I am employed as a heavy highway construction superintendent. Prior to this position, I was the head of the math department at Trinidad High School for 5 years and taught math for a total of 10 years. In addition to teaching at Trinidad High School, I also coached football for 13 years, boys basketball for 6, girls basketball for 2, and track for 6. I also coached middle school, where I coached middle school boys basketball for 2 years, and the track program for 3. While teaching at Trinidad High School, or employed by School District 1, I also sat on the union's negotiating team for 6 years, as well as numerous committees within the Trinidad High School and Trinidad School District No. 1. I am running for a position on the school board because I believe that I possess the proper qualifications that are necessary to make informed decisions that affect our students, staff, parents, and community. I have the experience from the perspective of an educator, a parent, and a community member. I have a comprehensive understanding of our educational system and what a board member's role within that system. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity being provided to many of the candidates here tonight.
Answering your first question, Gary?
Okay, now I gotta go in order. I'm a math guy. So we're gonna go to the original first question. Okay. First question. What would be my priorities for the district in the upcoming year? Okay. And we hear a lot about that coming up. I think number one, we can't move past, we gotta get a budget that's sustainable. Budget's gonna fix a lot of problems or help us move forward in the future. Now, it's a lot of reasons why. But before I can, intelligently talk about why, where are we financially? Exactly. I mean, when it comes to finances, 2 things we must do. We're either going to make more money or we don't make money, receive more money. And that's obviously tied to my next priority, that's increasing student enrollment. Or we got to find a way to sustain our finances at a minimum. So we got to do the best we can with what we have. I mean, that's reality. Student enrollment. The first thing, I just left the school district. I think the biggest thing, we can track where they're going, but why? Why do we leave? How can we get them back? I think is the biggest thing. I want to see all my kiddos back. Thirdly, and finally, I don't know if it's more importantly, unifying and bringing our district together as a whole. I'd love to see us come together. Top down. Every school, every parent, every student, every member in the community. How do we ensure a positive environment for students, staff, parents, and community? Coming together, being positive, working together and moving forward. That would be my 3 priorities for the district in the upcoming year. Question 2, I think all of our favorite question. Are you committed to the yearly sharing, the major ways you as a school board member evaluates the district's progress? And you're going to hear this, I believe, from everybody, of course. I believe as a board member, I'm part of a 5-member board that evaluates the district's progress as a whole rather than an individual. Transparency. It's a foundational characteristic for all board members and key when communicating to our stakeholders. We can see where we're at. We can evaluate. We can look at. We can find out what's going on, where we're at. There's many of these systems in place. I think we can do a better job of communicating where we're at with everybody involved.
I actually have a question from the audience, Mr. Design. Gary, tell us how your experiences as a teacher would benefit the students if elected to Trinidad School District Number 1 Board of Education.
First and foremost, my passion for them. I've been in the classroom with these kids every day for the last 10 years. I understand what it means and actually take great pride, and it's almost a paycheck per se if you're in education. The joy of being there for students. I mean, that's what we're there for. Advocating for them. Now, being there for them doesn't mean we're giving them away every step of the way. But I can promise you, the decision is going to go that way. It depends what comes up. But the students will be first on my mind. How does it affect our students every day? I'll start from that perspective. I did that in the classroom, and it'd be no different now.
Eric? You talked about student loss. What can Trinidad School District Number 1 do to compete?
To compete? Obviously, you start with the first priority. We talk about budget. Updating, we know where our facilities are. That would be a huge help. Mr. Terry talked about technology. I've been that teacher in the classroom. But these are the upgrades that need to be made. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know, I'm speculating. But I mean, the first thing we have to do is find out why. Where'd they go and why? I mean, I need to know that. It's hard to really determine what we can do till we know what the problem is. I'm speculating that would be some of it, and I would assume it would. I think everybody in this room wants to do the best for our kids. And there's no doubt about that. Everybody here, the candidates here tonight are here because they care about our students. There's no doubt about that. But finding out why, I think we could better address that question.
We heard a lot from the city council concerning economic development, and one of the pillars of good economic development is a well-educated workforce. Would you want to engage with the city in working on programs that will focus the education of students that prospective businesses looking at Trinidad would be able to utilize?
No doubt. I did teach at the high school, and I think one of my major priorities with my job was to prepare for what was next. Life is what was next. We prepare students. Any one of them, they'll have the opportunity to college if they choose to do so. I believe we can do a better job of preparing every type of student. I mean, we hear a lot about the workforce. This day and age, I believe there was a question asked about what would you hope the legislation of the state would do. There is such a priority on high stakes testing anymore. The ability to have tracks and help prepare our students for what they want coming next, it's tough to do. Everything's about student achievement and preparing them, test scores. And we miss out on preparing these kids for what they so desire when they graduate from school. And I love, back in the day, there used to be tracks. There was a business track. There was a trades track. Well, I guess that's where we're at.
2 minutes to close, please.
Well, I'll be short and sweet. I would like to thank the community of Trinidad for their vote and support in this year's Trinidad School District 1 School Board election. I promise to be present, prepared, genuine, and fair if elected as a Trinidad School District 1 board member. I will be a positive voice for our students, parents, staff, and community. Let's come together and be the best that we can be. Thank you.
Dan Rossetti.
Good evening, folks. My name is Dan Rossetti. Born and raised in Trinidad, 57 years. Married 31 years to my wife, Kimberly. We're both graduates of Trinidad High School. Have a daughter who just recently moved to Fort Collins, graduate of Trinidad High and graduated from CSU, Fort Collins. Son, 22, he's in Wichita, Kansas, in his senior year of college right now. Just a little something about myself is worked for the city for the last 23 years in charge of the streets and the parks department, so I worked in line with a lot of the district's field maintenance people and help with the streets around the schools and whatnot. And reason I'm running is I believe there's a problem in our district right now. It's just not a uniform district. I don't even know how to explain it. We need to get uniform, have people joining together, have parents more involved. And I know a lot of people, it's all about the students, but we've got to remember it starts at home with the parents. I think we have to get parents involved in the district, because that's where it starts. Because if you look at a lot of these kids, they don't have real good parents. And we got to come up with something to help them out. So that's all I have to say on that. So we'll go to the questions. And I'm with Gary. What are your priorities for the district for the upcoming year? Of course, it's the budget, and with the budget, it's the mill levy. We've got to get the mill levy passed. How many people in this room heard anything about the mill levy until maybe a month ago? No one. Something has to be done. You've got to start now, after the election for next year. You don't start a month before. You start a year in advance. Tell the people what the money's going to be used for, what we're going to do with it, how much it is. Maybe take a little ride up to Primero and see what their mill levy's done with their school. I don't know if anyone's been up there, but it's totally awesome. And it's all for maybe a cup of coffee a month is all you're going to be spending. And that's what you got to educate the people. You got to let them know ahead of time. You can't do something just in 6 weeks or a month. You got to let them know and educate them. Whether I make the board or not, people that do make the board, get out there, go to the Alps Lodge, Kiwanis, Senior Citizen Center, whatever you have to, go to the Cub Scouts and educate them on what the mill levy is, how much it is, and what it's going to cost them. And it's not that much. And it'll help out our district like you won't believe. And second, I'd like to maybe get once or twice a year, have an open forum for the citizens and the parents, students, whatever. Right now, there's no say-so on parents and that at a board meeting. I mean, you could go talk for 3 minutes, but you have nothing to say. Other than that, have an open forum maybe before school, at the end of the school year. Listen to parents, see what they have to say. Maybe that could cure some of the problems in the district. Second question. Am I committed? I've always been committed. No matter what I do, I'll give it 110%. Whether I fail or do great, I'm going to do it. I just don't stand up here and say, yeah, no, I'll be there, and not show up. Anybody that knows me knows that when I go after something, I go after it, and I give 110%.
Bill, question?
You talked about a forum for students and parents. How would this be set up? How would this function? And how would parents and students feel some kind of satisfaction in knowing that they were heard?
Well, that's the whole deal here. Like I said, maybe have 1, 2, 3 open sessions a year for parents and students. Actually listen to them and do something about it and show them that you are going to do something about it. not just hear what they have to say and don't do anything.
Another question from the audience. Mr. Rossetti, a student said she went to Gold Academy because of bullying and fighting. What do you do about bullying?
Well, I can't remember if I was the bully or the bully, but I think I was a little bit of both. You know, I've been asking questions for the last 6 weeks on why kids have left, and I've heard that 4 or 5 times about bullying. It's been mentioned to the teacher, who's gone up the ladder, and nothing's happened about it. It just kind of goes silent, and that's not right. And like I said, I've been calling parents asking why their students are leaving. I know 5 students for a fact went to other schools because they stopped busing in a 2-mile radius around the school district. And okay, budget-wise, you might have saved $4,000 or $5,000, but those 8 children cost the school $40,000. And also, don't you have to drive that bus those 2 miles out to pick up the kids around there? You're going through that area anyway. So why not stop and pick up the kids in that area? You, working for the street department, we're going to have 30 to 40 extra parents bringing their kids to school. So I'm going to have to deal with those people in a snowstorm, trying to get them to school. And then on a 2-hour delay, what does a working parent do with their child? How do they get their children to school? I don't think it was thought out. They're just looking at saving money. So I think things need to be thought out quite a bit.
You've run for school board before. Why do you want a leadership position so badly?
Well, actually, until 2 weeks before the petition was up, there was only one gentleman that had went in for a petition to run for school board. That was Mr. Terry. And I had numerous calls at home saying, we'd like to have you on the board. You ran before. We think you'll be good. So that's the reason I'm running again.
Two minutes to close, please.
Like I said in my last 2 minutes here, whether I win or not, I want to be there for the district. Whoever's on the board, if you need my help, I'll be there. Give me a holler, give me a call. And if I do make it on the board, I'll do my best, listen to the parents, listen to the teachers, to the staff, whatever it is. And like I said, I've already been asking questions and trying to figure out solutions, whether I make it on the board or not. So, hope you vote for me. If I don't make it, well, we'll try again next time. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Dean Duran, and he's recuperating from a knee replacement, so he's going to address you from seated position. Dean Duran.
Good evening, everybody. I was born in Trinidad. I graduated from Trinidad High School. From there, I went to Trinidad State Junior College, and I earned 2 degrees in electronics and computer maintenance. I've been employed with the City of Trinidad for the last 30 years. The last 15 years, I've been the Power and Light supervisor. I've coached at Trinidad State Junior College baseball for, I think, 5 years. And after that, I scouted for the Baltimore Orioles for 3 years. Always been involved in sports. I'm married, have four kids. 3 of them have completed, going to school district #1 schools. I have one son that's a sophomore at the high school right now, but he's the only one left. And I also have 4 grandkids, and none of them go to school district number 1 schools. They're all homeschooled, and that's something that I'd like to correct. So, first question says, are you committed to yearly sharing the major ways you as a school board member evaluate the district's progress? You know, this is all pretty new to me, but of course I would want to share, but I would think it would have to be yearly. I would think it could be quarterly or as many times as it needed to be, because I think transparency for the school district is what needs to be done. There's a lot of, and like Mr. Rossetti brought it up, that there's, when you go to a school board meeting, you have 3 minutes to speak, so you never ever get a really good chance or a good answer out of that. So I think there needs to be better dialogue between the parents, citizens of the town and the school board, and I think that would cause people to relax more and be less trouble for arguments and people get along better. The second question is, what are your priorities in the school district? Well, it's just same as everybody else. It's the budget. What are you going to do if you don't have the numbers of the kids? And I think people in the town know why kids are leaving the district, but nobody wants to talk about it. There's one of the questions that was just brought to you about bullying. There's 0 tolerance for bullying. I don't care if you're a teacher, a student to another student, it can't be tolerated. So that's what it has, 0 tolerance for that. And people know what the problem is, but people don't want to talk about it, they don't want to address it, because it's going to hurt feelings. And the other one, the priority would be to make it about the kids. I can sit here and tell you that I have no relative that works for the school district. No wife, kid, nobody. I'm running because I've seen what my kids have all gone through in this district, whether it's been Eckhart, Fisher's Peak, the middle school, the high school, whether good or bad. I can judge pretty well because I went through four of my kids going through there. So I do know where the problems are, and I know where the good things happen. So that's it.
Eli? Eli DeBron, KCRT. Mr. Duran, what areas of change would be applicable for increasing student achievement in your eyes?
Can you ask that one more time?
What areas of change would be applicable for increasing student achievement?
I think right now it's already changed. Being that I do have a son in school right now at the high school, according to him, this has been the best year that he's had in high school or school district number 1 at all this year alone, because they're having fun. They're getting treated with respect. There's a lot of school involvement, and he said all in all the teachers are better with the kids, and he said this is the best year he's had. And I think if you make the kids happy, you're going to have better achievement.
What about your professional career or background has prepared you for service on the school board?
Well, as I work for the city of Trinidad, I've been in the supervisory role for, I think, 15 years, maybe even a little bit more. I was part of having the budget for this, the city of Trinidad Electric Department. It's a huge budget. Worked with, I know Audrey's here, I don't even want to say bring up ARPA, but we went through our troubles with money, also with ARPA and everything else. So you got to learn to do without, but you got to do the best you can with what you have. And until you have money, you're not going to be able to change a lot, but you still can make progress.
Again, just what you have to be successful at this point in the game, what does the school have right now? What are its positive attributes at this point?
The positive attributes right now, and again, I'm going off talking to my son and his friends. The most positive thing I see this year than from any other year is respect. So this is probably the first year that I can remember that I don't have to wake my son up and kick him out the door to get him to go to school. He beats me up every day by a couple hours. Can't wait to get to school. He's got his he's groomed, he's ready to go, and it's fun for him. He doesn't have to worry about anything else other than being a student at Trinidad High School.
Another question, please?
I have an audience question, John. What are your views, Mr. Duran, regarding nepotism in school district number 1?
That's going to be a tough one no matter where you go in a town this size. I know that it deals with whether you're at the city, you're at UPS, you're at the railroad, you're at anywhere. But I think if you have any kind of morals and you have any kind of ethics, you can excuse yourself where it's going to benefit anybody in your family, and that's why I'm so confident about running, because I don't have to worry about it. I can vote on anything with an open heart because I don't have a family member, I don't have a relative, nothing. It's a clean slate with me. But I think it's not picking on somebody that you do have a relative there. It just makes it tougher, but that's when you got to be a better person and say, you know what, I need to stand back. Because I think, even though it's not going to help me money-wise in my family, but you are a relative of mine, I just don't feel comfortable. It's a fine line, but it can be done with the right morals.
2 minutes to close, please.
Geez, I don't even know what to say anymore. Because I wasn't planning on running for school district board member. But one of the things that I thought long and hard about, because I have a lot of friends, a lot of people that do work at the school district. I have people I work with that their family members work at that school district, and it is a very important thing. And I believe me, I thought about it long and hard before I ran, because my brother before me ran for school district, and he was on the board, and shoot, that caused him to move a rifle. So I'm taking a pretty good chance here, and I think I waited long enough where I got a son that has only 2 years left, so the transplant can be easier if I have to leave. Thank you.
This is your slate of school board candidates. I'll remind you, if you get mail-in ballots, or if you go to however you vote, November 7th, don't let this be your only venue. Go out, talk to these people, call them, donate money to their campaign, open your pocketbooks, they'd like to have that. We know that's how the presidential elections work. It doesn't have to be that way here. But look for other places. I understand there's going to be some other things around town where some of these candidates are going to visit and get to know the community. Find out where they are. Go support those too. We'll take a 10-minute break, and at that time, we'd like the mayoral candidates. 5 minutes, I was told. Thank you. We will again draw the order out of our wonderful wooden bowl here. This will be followed by representatives discussing and talking about our county and city referendums. So please hang around because it's all important information. Now for your mayoral candidates. Number one, or first out of the bowl, Phil Rico, please.
Good evening, and I need to apologize. First, I have a slight sore throat, so I'll try to project as best as I possibly can. I want to thank the Chamber and the college for providing and hosting this event tonight, and the people that are asking the questions. 2 years ago, when the citizens of Trinidad gave me the honor to represent our community, I made a personal commitment to myself to work hard and to raise awareness at the state level and to make Trinidad a community that is progressive and a more attractive place to live. I have met with the governor's staff, Office of Economic Development and International Trade, the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority. I am a commissioner of the Southwest Chief, and I am on the Colorado Municipal League's Policy Board representing Trinidad. I have traveled also many times to Port Carson and met with military officials. On August the 21st, Ms. Tara Marshall and Andrew Michelson and I presented to CHAFA for the 9% tax credits to build the space to create. Many citizens did a lot of work in the past 2 years to move this project forward. August 21st was the make or break day. I am proud and humbled that I was part of the team to carry this project across the finish line. Our presentations yielded $10 million in tax credits, which will help complete the project. This project will create jobs and will make Trinidad a destination point for creatives and others. 2 years ago, I said we would have to take some risks if we are to make progress. Risk is something we will not all agree on. However, without risk, we will remain stagnant or move backward. Some are comfortable with the status quo. I am not. I've worked with our Economic Development Director for the patio projects downtown, the Entertainment District, promoted our Trails of program, voted to appropriate the $1.6 million for the Space Grade project. I worked with our previous city manager to put a cap on the cannabis applications. I have been very proactive in the community, attending many meetings and traveled numerous times to Denver. Currently, contracting jobs are plenty. We have seen a spike in commercial building. People are moving here for a better quality of life. This is activity we have not seen in decades. Not all is rosy in Trinidad. We have an aging infrastructure, a drug problem, and our need of jobs. We do need to diversify our economy. This is the hardest of all to accomplish. We have had some controversial issues. Cannabis, one of them. Whether you agree with this industry or not, it is here to stay. Some feel that we can just shut them down. This is not legally possible. They are an established legal business. Transients are another issue. I have been asked, can we just kick them out of town? The answer is no. Begging is protected under the United States Constitution. This is a difficult issue with no easy answers. Drug overdosing is a serious problem. Unfortunately, this is an epidemic across the United States. We have several challenges ahead of us. We need to continue to work diligently if we are to stay on the current path of progress. Question number one. What is the biggest financial challenge and how would I address it? I can't say that we have one particular issue because we do have, actually, I can see four. One is jobs, economy, infrastructure is a huge issue. If we were to come up with all the money we need for infrastructure, it would cost us about $100 million. That's what we do not have in our coffers. ADA compliance is another huge problem that we have. We are currently being sued by the Justice Department, and it's going to cost the citizens of this community about $15 million when all is said and done. And we do not have very many years to complete this project. We also have a $1 million unfunded liability or funded leave in our budget for employees, long-term employees. So we have to come up with $1 million in case, let's say, several of these people decide to retire. We need to come up with $1.5 million overall to fund, to take care of this unfunded liability. And the second question is, as you know, it's easier to keep jobs than attract new ones. If elected, how would you help building and development be more resilient, especially during tough economic times? Our current city manager came into town and he said, what we need to do is do a thing called business gardening. What that does is you take your current businesses and you try to enhance them by providing them incentives to be able to grow their business. We also have a facade and rental assistance program. A facade program is if a business owner has something that they want to do on the facade of their building, they can apply for money for that. Rental assistance, just exactly what it says, rental assistance for a business owner. We do not need to get discouraged by not being able to attract new businesses, because the truth of the matter is, 1 out of 100 you may attract. So we need to keep our eye on the ball and not get discouraged. That one can make a big difference in our community. We need to look at, we need economic development to check with various potential businesses to see what their needs are and the different types of industries that are out there.
Bill?
Mr. Mayor, you're talking about business hardening. These are taxpayer dollars that are going into subsidizing the business more or less. And so what you've done is you socialize the cost, but still the business gets the profits. So how do we balance all that out? So that people don't feel like we're just floating businesses out here.
Well, let's take a look at that. Either business can grow, stay stagnant, or go away. What would you rather have? That's a question for us. So by providing an incentive for our businesses, it allows them to be more profitable.
Mr. Rico, name one major accomplishment during your tenure. What issues have become tangible for the city?
Well, like I mentioned in my opening statement, you know, I was part of a team that went to Denver to make presentations to the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority. As you're sitting there, I'm sitting there, and the other two people that were with us, I'm sure that we were all pretty much trembling inside, because we are trying to present to our community for $10 million for 9% tax credits. And this could be a big game changer for our community. And like I mentioned, you know, we were able to carry the ball over the line, even though many, many people had done a lot of legwork prior to us getting there. But to me, that was probably the highlight so far of my tenure.
Chronicle News. Mr. Rico, the city is currently celebrating Space to Create, obviously, but what would you say to critics that say it's simply gussing up subsidized low-income housing, or maybe it shouldn't be downtown?
Well, you know, I think that, you know, the project doesn't need to go downtown. We have two separate projects, actually. The original project, which is right across from the Miners Memorial Museum. That entire project is an entire block. The second part of that project is going to be down on Elm Street. The Elm Street is going to be an apartment complex, which will have, I believe, 27 apartments. It's a 3-story building, have 1 and 2 apartments in them. The building on Main Street, there's going to be a community center where the old Toller building is, where it used to be. There's going to be some additional space down on the bottom, and there's going to be some living spaces on top. So realistically, this is a very diversified project.
We have 1 minute for another question, quickly.
Yeah, first off, congratulations on Space to Create. People up and down this area of the Front Range are talking about it. So it's not only good for Trinidad, it's going to be good for Webber County. It's probably going to be good for Colfax County, New Mexico.
What's the timeline on that?
What's the timeline?
Yes.
We're looking at probably late spring, from what I understand, it will be ground. I was hoping earlier, but we are going to have a groundbreaking probably late spring. And just to let everybody know, in this audience tonight, and anybody out there listening, next week on the 12th, we're going to have a big party downtown. Because when, in talking with Miss Marshall and Marilyn Loser, prior to getting the chaplain credits, I mentioned to them, if we get these tax credits and this money, we are going to have a community party, and by God, we got one coming on the 12th.
2 minutes to close, please.
You know, your mayor is the face of Trinidad. It is a job that requires someone that is steadfast, able to think, make decisions, sometimes under stress, can control his temperament under all circumstances, and someone that is unbiased at all times. The mayor's job is not just a few hours a week. He must be available, flexible, and be able to present himself in a manner that you, the citizens, expect. Attending and participating in the many community or state level meetings has kept me informed of issues that can affect Trinidad. Getting prepared for meetings is a time consuming that can take hours to be properly prepared and well informed. When someone asks a question about a current or previous issue, you need to be prepared to have a good answer. Controlling council meetings can be difficult. This is when being unbiased and having self-control is absolutely critical. A mayor must show fiscal responsibility, have knowledge of the city's budget. When elected 2 years ago, I requested that the finance director submit a quarterly budget to actual report. This gives council a snapshot of actual budget expenditures versus revenue and the ability to recommend budget changes if necessary. Constant travel is part of the job. It is easy to put in 15 plus hours a week. This does not take in many hours of thinking about what to do about community issues. In order to accomplish anything, we need a council and staff that respects and trusts the mayor's judgment. I believe that I've gained that trust. Transparency is something I take very seriously. It was questioned by my opponent in a recent article. I take issue with that statement because during my tenure, council and staff have demonstrated the highest level of transparency. We have a very competent and dedicated staff. And just a little footnote, someone mentioned earlier, I think in the council session, about posting of our phone numbers. They are posted in the newspaper on a regular basis. The citizens of Trinidad need to trust their mayor. They want to see progress, someone who represents them and has the interest of their community first and foremost. I believe I have demonstrated all these characteristics needed to do the job. My statement on the bottom of my sign there says, committed to my community, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I live by that. A vote for me is a vote for continued progress and stability in the mayor's seat. I'm a progressive and take heart praise. If you can't get behind progress, get out from in front of it. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for giving the citizens of Trinidad the opportunity to view the best, to view the best candidate by providing this forum. Mr. Tom Murphy for taping tonight's event, and giving people that are not able to attend tonight the opportunity to view this forum on Trinidad Times TV in the comfort of their home. Please take the time to vote. Many people have sacrificed their lives to give us that right. To the citizens of Trinidad, thank you for listening.
Joe Bernardo.
Good evening. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce and Trinidad State Junior College for putting on this program. My name is Joe Bernardo. I was born and raised in Trinidad. I graduated from Trinidad High School in 1972. Upon graduation, I worked as an auto mechanic for many years until a severe back injury made me disabled. I am married to my wife, Jeanette. In February, it will be 41 years for us. In this union, we have 2 children, Mary Jo Bodino and Martin Bernardo. We also have 5 grandchildren. I have served about 11 total years on council. I was also mayor pro tem for 2 years. I have served with many good councilmen and women and several good mayors who have taught me a lot. But I'm not here to talk about Joe Bonanno. Rather, I want to hear from you, the citizens of Trinidad, on what Trinidad needs and wants. I can't promise you anything, but I'm the type of person that once I make a decision, I pretty well stick to it until someone proves me wrong. I believe people know where I stand on a lot of subjects, but if there is a question that I don't know, I will find out. We have a great religious community in this town. And I haven't heard one council member or anybody mention this religious community. But we got to remember this. Without God up above, none of this is going to be possible. So I don't have a very long opening speech, but I hope you have a great evening and enjoy the program. Thank you, I'm Joe Paul.
First question.
The first question, I don't know, we have a little mix up here, but the question I got was, what is the city's biggest challenge and how would you tackle it? Got a lot of problems. Let me get this over here. Wrong page. The biggest challenge the city of Trinidad has is all the infrastructure, sewer, gas, water lines. As a councilman, I have raised this question several times while on council, especially the water line coming from the water treatment plant to the prison. We lose about 40% of our water. The infrastructure we have in our city is over 75 years old. But like Mr. Rico said was talking, I'm very pleased to announce that the city is starting soon on Main Street to correct some of these problems, which will branch out to different parts of the city. DOLA has given us a grant to start up this project. I will work with city staff to ensure that these projects and other dealings with infrastructure will proceed. My second question was, what is something the city council has done or approved within the last year that you disagree with? Everybody in that audience is probably thinking, well, it's got to be marijuana. Guess what? It isn't marijuana. You know what it is? It's the way the city of Trinidad handled our water treatment plant. And this is my own opinion, and I want people to put that down when I say it. This is my opinion. When our former city manager was here, he was in touch with what they call CHM2, a company that comes in to manage these type of programs. Our charter, I believe that I know the best of our charters from anybody sitting on council. I learned so much with our charter. And our charter says you cannot sell, lease, or buy without the vote of the community. Okay? So what I'm talking about is that I feel we lost 5 city jobs to CHM2. 5 city jobs. I voted against it because I didn't want to see 5 jobs lost. True enough, these 5 employees, they went to CHM2. They got a pretty good pay raise. But the catch was this. Their insurance is higher now from CHM2 than what the city was paying for. I was responsible at one time to get the sewer treatment plant a $10,000 payment so they could check out all the sewer lines, the water lines, and stuff like that. A couple of months ago, we had an emergency meeting come in, called. And we had to get some money to fix the main sewer line that was going into our water treatment plant. Well, to me, if somebody is hired, or whatever we did, manage this water treatment plant, don't you think should have been checked with this $10,000 camera? But it wasn't. So we had to take out $63,000 out of our utility funds. Our utility fund now, instead of using marijuana money. I learned from a very good mayor one time. I served with him for quite a few years. And he said, Joe, whatever you do, you don't touch that utility fund and make sure that reserve fund is there. Everything comes out of the utility fund, you know, and we have to have a strong utility fund and a reserve fund. Because if we ever have a major disaster in our reserve, we only have $1 million. $1 million today, you can't run 200 yards of 200 feet of sewer line. So with that said, I guess I could stop talking about that. I could go on forever with a lot of challenges.
Any other question?
Eli DeMono, KCRT. I have a question from the audience. Mr. Bernardo, do you feel that all Trinidad citizens have the right to know where the money revenue of the city are going? And if yes, what can you, if elected as mayor, see that information is accessible to all citizens?
Well, absolutely. Everybody has the right. This is the citizens' money. We as a council are elected by the people to watch where this money is going and doing other things like that. They have the right, the opportunity to see what's going on and how we would do this. There's a couple of things that I didn't like about, maybe I'm wrong by saying this, but I'm going to say it. The tourism board, we have a great tourism board, but what I got upset was that they got some money that they were going to divide into the nonprofits. And then also our mayor, and I'm not saying nothing wrong with the mayor, but when we got the marijuana money, the $1.7 million in a council meeting, he stated that we're going to give this to the foundation to distribute.
That's incorrect.
That's correct. So my understanding is, as an elected official, we should be in charge of that. Not too long.
2 minutes to close, please.
In closing, I want to thank you for coming tonight. I believe my experience on council will help me become the new mayor of Trinidad. This is a very important election, and I'm asking you to vote for me, Joe Bonado, for mayor. This is your voice and your future. Mr. Rico, no matter what happens in this election, may the best man win. I only hope that both of us run a clean campaign with no mudslinging. So with that said, thank you once again, and remember, when you go to sleep tonight and wake up in the morning, keep in mind in your thoughts and prayers for the men and women serving in our armed forces and our veterans. For without them, we would not have the freedom we have today. And also for the families that lost loved ones in the Las Vegas shooting, and our first responders and police officers. Vote Joe Bonado on November the 7th for mayor. God bless you all. Thank you.
Our ballot has the first referendum, Los Angeles County Referendum 1A. Representative to discuss that. Please introduce yourself and go right ahead.
Thank you very much. First of all, My name is Henry Solano. I'm your elected district attorney. And I'm here to ask for your consideration on something that's not very easy to ask for, and that is to vote for a tax increase. And in order to be able to ask you for that, I want to tell you about where we are in the office. I took over on January 9th of this year. The district attorney's office is not the office it was before I took over. It's not the office it was on January 9th. It's not the office that it should be and will be as long as I'm district attorney. So let me describe a little bit about why I'm asking for the tax increase. First of all, before I ask for money, the first thing I need to be able to tell you is what have we done with the money that we've got. We have stretched and looked for every single efficiency we can. We have changed employees. We've looked for donated services and donated money. The city council gave us $50,000 because the county regrettably had to cut all agencies. And that just held our budget about the same. The city council and the city donated servers, local area networks is what they're called, so that we now can be in modern day law office. Before I got there, all the work was done on individual computers. If you had to share files, you had to pull a zip drive or something and take it to another computer again for somebody else to do, and then they had to hand it back to you. Because of the server, we now are a modern day office where we can keep our calendars, we can share files, we can download and serve the charges we need to file. Now, when I got here, the office was under court supervision, the Supreme Court. It is no longer under Supreme Court supervision. When I got here, there were situations where, regrettably, because of the limited resources, there were plea bargains and dispositions that would take felony charges and reduce them down to misdemeanors. As of September 1, with cooperation with local law enforcement, we matched the number of felonies charged in Los Angeles County as of last year. We will increase and have more than 20% more felonies charged than ever before. We're now doing a count, and the latest count now, we're not finished, is we now have 23 individuals who were sentenced to felony charges, sentenced to the Department of Correction, more than in the past. But we're doing that because we're stretching our resources. We're going much further than is possible. We no longer have the constant charge by the defense bar that we are violating the rights of clients by providing discovery. We now have not had, even though there have been 6 charges raised, trying to dismiss cases for what they call discovery violations. The court has not granted a single one. They have always ruled in our favor. So what I'm saying, just to be brief about it, is we need to be able to continue to prosecute our cases, to do the investigations that are needed, to not only just to get the felony charges, but in the plea bargaining, to get higher plea bargains. Regrettably now, even though our plea bargains are acceptable, they're minimally acceptable. We are forced to enter into felony plea agreements that call for less time than we should be able. The things I've done also is we had 2 forums, one in Huerfano and one in Los Angeles County, where I brought the federal government, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the federal law enforcement agencies, where they heard that basically we need to take back our communities. They've taken on some of our cases to help us prosecute people federally. They're going to come back in 2 weeks to talk about not only what they're doing, but to help with the investigation so that we can take on the issues that are out there. Illegal marijuana grows. Crime, burglaries. I have one individual now who I've got under 3 different sets of charges because of the way we are prosecuting and the way he's being charged. He is now subject to, for each of the cases we win, a term of imprisonment, if we convict, to 44 years per case, something that's not been done before. So I'm here to say we are as efficient and as effective as we can be. We still have more work, but we need more resources. 2 former district attorneys had to quit the position before I got here because there were inadequate funds. What we've chosen to do is go to a statutory provision that allows for the voters to approve a sales tax for public safety to help fund our office. We chose to recommend that both sets of commissioners, Los Animas and Huerfano, saw fit to be able to put it on the ballot. Part of why we chose to do the sales taxes there is to relieve those who are just property owners from the burden and the responsibility of helping to provide for public safety and a safe community. And that's what we're about. Yes?
Who would oversee the use of these funds?
I would administer the funds, but the way the funds come in is as any other fund, and I'm committed and it's part of the whole statutory process. The funds, even though they may be first dedicated to the district attorney's office, are like any other funds. They go to the county commissioners. I have to submit to the county commissioners a budget and justification, and they can approve that budget. And if they do approve it, this revenue stream would be there to support it. If there's overage of the money, we put a provision in the ballot initiative that any excess monies can go to other public safety purposes.
So does it go to the DA's office, courts, sheriff, or police?
Not the courts. The first part is to the DA's office. If there is additional revenue, it can go to other public safety agencies. It is not just the sheriff's department. There are other departments that would be providing for public safety. It could be for human services or some of the other agencies, because public safety has a slightly broader definition than just law enforcement.
Thank you. John.
Eli, Mr. Solano, is Huerfano County also placing a half-cent sales tax on their residents?
It's not on all, it's not just residents, but yes, the answer is we are running in tandem the same kind of provision in both Huerfano and Los Animas County, because the district attorney's office covers both counties.
Why is the money not going to any other safety entity of the county as originally promised by Governor Hickenlooper came here this spring to support the ballot measure?
Well, I think the county has taken another sales tax provision other than the public safety sales tax provision to try and fund the rest of county government, which I endorse and I support.
So is Los Animas County paying more than 70% of their share for the 3rd Judicial District?
No, in fact, regrettably, because of the shortfall, they are paying less than what they're statutorily required by percentage. Less. Actually, they're supposed to pay about, given the population, 2/3 to 1/3 is now basically 60% to 40%. Huerfano County has exceeded its minimum requirement as based upon the money available from the large county.
Thank you.
Thank you. Los Angeles County Referendum 1B.
Good evening. My name is Luis Lopez II, and I'm here tonight as a private citizen concerning our ballot initiative, Referendum 1B, and it's a sales tax matter, 1 cent sales tax. Why vote yes for sales tax increase for Los Animas County? The ballot measure 1B for 1 cent sales tax is a much needed solution to the revenue crisis in Los Animas County. Los Animas County's only source of local revenue is property taxes, which have been declining over the past years by $1.3+ million. Due to this drastic decline, the county was forced to reduce hours of operations and seriously reduce services to the city and to the county residents. Los Animas County proposes a 1 cent sales tax, which includes tax on recreational marijuana. As of right now, we do not receive 1 red cent on marijuana. Tourists will have to share in this tax, with putting additional financial strain on residents or commercial property owners. It won't hurt you guys any. And basically, when we crunch the numbers recently, we're looking at about 20% of it's going to be about marijuana, and another 20% is going to be from the rest of the tourists that are spending money in our community. So about 40% Of this $1 million plus we're asking for in this 1 cent ballot initiative is going to come from other people in here, from tourists, from travelers, from the marijuana industry. So it's not a true burden on the taxpayer 100% like people think.
Yeah.
Los Animas County is a fantastic place to live. All of us here in Trinidad, we love it. But it's disheartening to see, and our tourists to see, our historical structures falling apart. City and county residents want what's best for the county, and improvements come to cost, folks. Our courthouse is falling down. Both corners are literally falling down. And we're trying to find revenue to help support these buildings. Our fairgrounds are in bad shape as well. We do have some lottery funds that we're going to be trying to address that issue as well. But we need revenue. We can't have the maintenance crews. We can't pay them to be there. They're suffering drastically. The penny sales tax required fund services and expenditures to service and expenses to run the county the way you, the city, and the county taxpayers are accustomed to receiving the services. You know, for years, just come in, do your business, get out. Now there's lines because we're short-staffed, we're underfunded. We want to get that service back to you. And I want to touch base on a lot of the agencies because there's many spokes to this wheel in our county government. And in the 9 months I've been there, it has been a really huge learning curve to discover all these different entities. And I want to start off with public safety, speaking of Mr. Solano. Our sheriff's department and jail are bare bones right now. There's no revenue, there's no money there. The public safety now, more than ever, with the dangerous world we live in, should be one of our highest priorities. We really need to focus on housing the inmates that he's trying to prosecute. We have to feed them, we have to pay $11,000 a month for medical. It's a huge expenditure. The coroner's office as well, the same way. We have problems when somebody passes away, and unknown to me before I took office, toxicology reports, autopsies, if are deemed necessary, are put on the burden of the taxpayer. We pay for them. The county pays for them. Comes out of the budgets. Our health department is something that's so much important for our community and keeping and watching over all our health and well-being. Our restaurants, our septic systems. It's crucial to have that organization. Emergency management is a high priority as well. Remember our fires we've had in the past, disasters, and even having an emergency management team in place for something such as a horrible event that's recently happening across our country. Emergency plans need to be put in place, and they need to be there, or else we're going to be total chaos without them. Our district attorney's office as well needs to be part of this 1 cent. Will also needs to be funded so you can properly prosecute to get convictions and send the bad guys away. Our road and bridge department is also very crucial for our area farmers, ranchers, and residents to get to and from their destinations and for day-to-day commerce, as well as keeping up with roads and keeping roads open for safe transportation of our children to and from schools. The energy grants that have been awarded in the past require 50% match, and our superintendent has done a wonderful job over the past years of building that fund balance, but as we use those grants, we have to match it. Those funds are going away, we're declining, and we need to replace them and replenish them. The Los Angeles County Treasurer's Office, that office is the bank, sends all your revenues to your school districts, your fire districts, and divvies up the monies that you pay. So the check that you write to Los Angeles County does not stay with Los Angeles County. We have to disperse it to the proper places which you have voted for. The assessor's office is another integral and again a huge responsibility and importance to our community. Without that office, we will not have the money to give to the banker to disperse other agencies in the community. And assessing the property values properly is of huge importance. Because if it's overdone or underdone, then we don't have the proper revenue stream. Almost done. Los Angeles County Clerk and Recorder's Office carries just as much responsibility and a great need of all the citizens in Trinidad. It's where you get your licensing, your marriage license, your deeds, your documents, and that office actually is paying for this very election right now. So those funds come, and we have to do this. Our administration
we have is set up right now that is a wonderful group of people, and they have been diligently watching every penny. And I'm proud to say that this is the first time at mid-budget reviews that every department is on budget. It's been many years before every single one of them has been on budget, and that is through the due diligence of our county, our finance director, and our administrator, and the oversight of our board of county commissioners. And I'd like to end on that with DHS as well. We are supervising them. We are implementing programs to help assist them so that overages do not occur anymore. And with the board of county commissioners working very hard to make the best decisions to utilize and reach out to every agency in the state to educate us and assist in making the right decisions to benefit you and our community. And being a new guy, we have another new guy, and Mr. Loudon, we thank you for your tutelage and your insight, because without you being there and helping us guide us along to make these good decisions on your behalf, it'd be very difficult.
We may have a couple questions. Bill?
Louise, how you doing?
Hi, Bill.
That's the question. Historically, voters in Los Animas County have shot down tax proposals from the county. What happens if they fail to pass this and the county approaches insolvency? What happens then?
Pretty much the same as what we're experiencing now. We'll be stagnant. We could look at other opportunities, how to maybe do things different with the money we have, but it's not going to get much better. Now, I think a lot of the reasons why these have been voted down in the past is because of the transparency issues with the courthouse and with the county government. We are working diligently to have that transparency. You know that you're there every week for the meetings, so is Chronicle News, and we're trying to spend your dollars properly. And I don't think they trusted the people that were there. Now with our new administration staff, this board of commissioners we have, your pennies are being watched with an eagle's eye. Every penny is scrutinized.
Hi, Mr. Lewis. Hi. Are you familiar with 1A? I want to go back to 1A.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, so if 1A passes, will the allocation of the money that's deemed to the DA's office supersede the money that's supposed to be allocated for local authorities?
1A was put together was to help fund the district attorney's office solely. With excessive revenues exceeding the budget amount that was requested, will be dispersed to other public agencies such as the health department, the coroner's office, public safety, the jail. But the budget, like Mr. Solano alluded to, is under the control of the county commissioners. So if the budget requirements that he's asking for, or the budget he's asking for, does not meet the need of the expenditure, that amount can be reduced, and then the overages can be sent to other public safeties. But to not be a dead horse here, both these initiatives, folks, would put our tax base about 8.5%, 8.4%. Now, many of us travel to Pueblo, Springs, Denver. We go school shopping. We buy materials. We buy lumber. We go out to nice restaurants. And we don't bat an eye paying 8.4 up there and helping their community. Let's help our community. Let's spend our money here, and let's put that average up so when the tourists come to our town, they will pay a fair share.
Thank you. Next on the ballot is Los Angeles County Referendum 1C.
I am Jody Amato, and I am here as a concerned citizen of Los Animas County. I am here to speak on behalf of Referendum 1C, which is referred to as a diversity measure for Los Animas County, or referred to as a mill levy override. Los Animas County's mill levy, our general operating mill levy, is set at 9.357. All we're asking with a vote of yes on 1C is that the Los Animas County mill levy remain at the current level of 9.357. A vote on 1C, a yes vote on 1C, allows the county to help restore critical services that Los Animas County residents require and deserve. A vote yes on 1C does not allow the county to raise the tax levy. We can only raise a tax levy or our mill levy by a vote of the people. We tried that last year and unfortunately it was failed. But what we were asking with 1C is, with all the growth that you're seeing within the city limits of Trinidad, you've seen new construction, you have seen the new businesses coming in. I have seen in my job numerous and more house sales. So we are growing as a community, we are growing as a county. What 1C allows Los Animas County to do is to be able to bring in, when monies, to save those monies in times when the economy is growing, and I feel that we are on the precipice and about ready to see a massive amount of growth in our community and in our county. What debrucing or a mill levy override will allow us to do is it will allow us to keep revenue and to save it in times of good for when we're in times of recession. By voting 1C will help us put services back in our courthouse. Hopefully we can get back to a 40-hour work week to provide the services that you as constituents, that you as the public demand and need, and that we as elected officials want to give to the public, and we want to be there to serve. But without funding, we cannot do our jobs properly. Without funding, we can't serve the public. 1C will allow us to do that. All 1C allows us to do is to debruce our mill levy, to keep the full 9.357 mills that Los Animas County brings in. Should Los Animas County become unstable, as the question was asked earlier, without the county, we are the heartbeat, as we heard last year. We are the ones that we set values, we collect the taxes, we redistribute it. All we're asking is to keep a small portion. We get 9.357 mills. That is very mild and small compared to your city mill levies, your school district mill levies. All we're asking is that when we do have this massive growth and this expansion of economic growth, that we do not, as a county government, do not have to lower that mill levy and decrease our budgets anymore. Please vote yes on 1C. Help Los Animas County get back to providing the services that you, as the public, require and deserve. Help our community, help the county help our community so the city can function, your school districts can function, your fire districts can function, all your entities that rely on the county for us to do our job so we can help them survive and grow. Vote yes on 1C, a debrucing or known as a mill levy override initiative.
Questions for the board?
Can you give us an idea how common is it for entities in Colorado that have debruced?
Los Animas County is one of 4 counties out of 64 counties in the state of Colorado that have not debruced their mill levy. So it's very common for cities, entities, counties, fire districts, school districts to debruce. Speechless, Mr. Knowles.
Jody, thank you very much.
Thank you. Vote yes on 1C.
All of the city referendums, I'll ask you to introduce himself, just in case nobody knows who he is.
Good evening, everybody. I am Les Dales, and I'm the city attorney for the city of Trinidad. The good news is what I'm going to talk to you about tonight does not in any way involve tax money. We in the city have before you for this ballot 5 what are really largely charter housekeeping changes. Now there's one change that is not really housekeeping, but 4 of the 5 are really kind of housekeeping measures. And the reason why they have to be voted on by you and why, excuse me, they're on the ballot is because they affect the charter. And of course, anything that affects the Trinidad Home Rule Charter has to be voted on by the people. Now, I want to say that the order that has been assigned to these ballot initiatives, it's in your agenda. It's as 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D, and 2E, I believe. I'm not sure that my discussion of these in the order I have them in is going to be the way you have them on yours. But if anyone used or wants me to change order, I can certainly do that. So, if I could, the first one I want to do is the reading of ordinances. And this is, if anyone has ever been to a city council meeting,